Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to the Co-optional Podcast. How is everybody today? Hopefully wonderful.
Delightful.
Good. Jesse Cox, you appear to be the victim of burglary.
Yeah. Well, I personally burgled myself. All the art's over there, and there's stuff over there, as you can see. I was remodeling things, but I didn't finish in time.
Insurance fraud, I see. All right, just good to know.
Yeah. Nothing spectacular. It's not that good of a story. There's nothing humorous about it. It's just me running around being stupid.
There's just times when you feel like you need to remodel. Simple as that.
You see, I started to move things, and then just kept moving. So...
Go on.
That's what happened. That's my story. It's a good one.
Well, you've almost managed to match the terrible lighting in this room, so, we're doing pretty well right now. Dodger, welcome to the show. What's going on?
Hello. Nothing. I'm home. Oh my gosh. I'm here for a while. I'm really excited.
Oh, join the club. Yeah.
To just be home for a long time. I'm just like, yeah. Mommy, if you're watching this, I absolutely love you, and I thought Thanksgiving was wonderful. But it's really nice to be home.
Understandable.
Mommy, if you're watching this, that sounds like a musical number.
Mommy.
I'm excited to be home. Mommy, if you're watching this, I don't want to be alone. Musical number.
Perfect.
You're good.
Thank you.
Don't
I'm
encourage
really
him.
At old folk Jewish musicals. I assume that's from Fiddler.
What?
It's a Fiddler song.
3 minutes in, and we're talking about the Jews, Matt Lees, welcome to the show. What have you got yourself in for?
Oh, I have no idea, but it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem at all. Why don't you tell people what exactly it is that you do?
Well, I do a bunch of stuff. Obviously, it's got a little box here. I'm the lead video gamer TV, which is a video thing for videogamer.com. I make mainly stupid comedy videos for the website, but I also do some stuff with a board game website called Shut Up and Sit Down, and I also do a filthy podcast called Regular Features. So I'm all over the place, but mainly I'm mostly known for doing stupid comedy videos, to be honest.
We could talk about board games for hours, and Jesse would hate us for it. It would be great.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I just bought. There's a. I think it might still be going on actually. Fantasy Flight had a massive sale. And it was on a bunch of stuff that I think that it's probably either going out of print or they just don't give a shit about. And I went on this sale. In fact, it is still going on until December the 9th, so hit this really hard. The discounts are fucking ridiculous. I picked up 6 games for $100, which is absurd when you think about the regular price of games. I got 2 card games. Chaos Marauders, and I'm pretty sure I got Arcana as well. I've been wanting to play Chaos Marauders for ages because I'm a big Warhammer person, so that seemed like a bit of fun. I picked up Black Gold, which is apparently pretty good. I picked up fucking Horus Heresy for $35. Regular price, $100 fucking dollars.
I was just gonna say, I'm looking at, this is seriously a really good sale. You guys should look at it.
Yeah, you actually, I'd buy stuff from it now because stuff's already kind of going out of stock as we speak. I picked up Nexus Ops, which apparently is great, and I actually did it because Jim Sterling tweeted, it's like, oh, I heard about this sale, and this looks pretty good. I'm like, oh, it does. I'm going to get Nexus Ops. I got The Hobbit because, hey, it's thematic, and maybe the missus and the little one will play that one.
All the miniatures are out of stock. No!
Yeah, unfortunately.
Question.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is the sale exactly? Because I'm looking at this Game of Thrones game. That's $59.
Yeah, welcome to board games. The Game of Thrones game, by the way, is fan-fucking-tastic.
It's really good, yeah.
It is good. With some of those King's Landing prostitutes, because that's a lot of damn money.
Oh no, but it's not
a lot of money for a board game.
You spend it's the same as buying a video game, but with the Game of Thrones one particularly, even if you play it once, it's it'll probably last about 4 hours, and across 5 or 6 people, you have an amazing day. And if you play it twice, you've got your money's worth, in my mind anyway. But
board games have a huge amount of replayability.
I hate the worst thing about living in Britain is having no room for them. I love board games, but even if they're cheap, it's basically. Yeah,
they're big.
And for example, the Game of Thrones box is
it's
massive. A decent sized box. Yeah,
it's insane. Oh no, I like little games like Masquerade and Resistance Avalon, and a thing I can fit in a corner somewhere is ideal for me.
Yeah,
Can I play as
of Tokyo
House
is quite
Tully?
nice for that.
Yeah.
Can you play as all the different houses?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's a card. There's an LCG as well, isn't there, for it? Living card game for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Which is actually supposed to be really good as well. And the Game of Thrones board game is really, really good. Bear in mind, these games came out before the television series, like years before. So they were based entirely on the books, and they were made at a time when they were aimed specifically at the people that loved the level of detail in the books. Which
Playing
is
as
pretty cool.
Greyjoy is
Is there going to
amazing.
be?
Yeah, Greyjoy
Yeah.
for life.
Because every time I played as Greyjoy, you start with this tiny. You just start with your island, the Iron Isles, and it's this horrible situation where you can't expand anywhere without stabbing someone in the back. So whenever you play as
Perfect.
Greyjoy, you immediately ally to with the Lannisters and with the Starks and go, yeah, no, of course I'm not going to do anything. And then it's just a matter of time of waiting
You fucked
until
them
you
over.
either
Just
take
like,
Winterfell
yeah, you just
or
wait until you can just be like, oh, what, huh?
it purposefully puts you in a position where you have to
Jesse,
stab someone in the back. It's class.
I own it if you ever want to play it.
I do. I was about to buy it, but if you own it, I want to.
No, I own it.
Fucking
You don't
play
need
it.
to buy it.
Like, I mean,
Lannister for life, yo.
I mean, Jesse, you remember playing Shadows over Camelot with us? That was
Yes.
fun. When we had to eventually figure out how it worked.
I saw
but
Battlestar Galactica on here, and I was like, I want to get that.
BSG is still the best board game I've ever played, bar none. I love it.
played it.
It's really good amongst people that, one, know the series, and two, are extra nefarious and horrible, because that game is designed to be played that way. We've had some of our best times with board games where I think the best time we had a bunch of the guys around, old WoW radio guys that, maybe about 2 of my viewers still know, but we had them all around, and we're playing with like 6 or 7 people. Things were going relatively well, but Battlestar Galactica is designed where things get increasingly desperate. Every time an event happens, it's always bad. Always. Basically, you try and have it not be bad or be less bad. That's the best you can do. And you all kind of contribute to try and fix it. But the main mechanic is that each event has color coding. So you have to give, say it's like 10 blue to stop this event from happening. But everyone puts their cards in face down. So you then shuffle them up. The wrong colored cards detract from the total. So you can fuck over specific events, but you've got to be careful about doing it too much because people will figure out who you are and things like that. And there's a lot of doubt and there's a lot of real backstabbing going on because at least one person is a Cylon in the background.
My favorite mechanic in that game, though, is the fact that you get sleeper agents who are activated halfway through the game.
Yes.
And so the last time we played it, we kept having 1 or 2 of the wrong colors coming up in the deck. And because of that, people kept thinking there's a Cylon, when actually I kept saying, no, listen, guys, there's only 1 or 2 because you always put in a couple of extra ones just to ensure it's never 100% clear. And I got put in the brig because everyone thought I was trying to deflect from the fact there weren't any Cylons. And it turned out that for the first half of the game, we spent the whole time arguing and chucking each other on the bridge, and there weren't any Cylons there.
I knew it.
Like, we were all
That's the best thing.
And we lost the game. Because we
that's the best thing about it. The best one we had was someone played it masterfully. Like, he deflected again and again. We airlocked 2 innocent people. And every time you airlock someone, of course, it kills their character off. So they have to roll up a new one. And it has a morale hit if they turned out not to be a Cylon. Because you flip your loyalty card over when you die. So it's like, oh shit, we airlocked the wrong person. So that causes more arguments. We have this big fight. There's this really disastrous event. Like, the Cylons sneak up behind the ship, like, they surround Galactica. Pegasus is already destroyed by this point. So, we're fucked. There's, like, 3 base stars on the field, a lot of raiders. We're fighting for our lives. We start burning our once-per-game special abilities just to stay alive. Out goes, I think it was Liam Adama in his fucking fighter wing, in his Viper wing, and he's, like, blowing up raiders, and we're like, yeah, he's doing well. And he's like, I activate my special ability to recall all Vipers to the hangars. And we're like, no. What? He recalls all our fucking defenses, and then we just die, and he flips his card over, and like, I was the Cylon the entire time. We're like, you fooled us for 4 fucking hours. And that's why board games are so cool.
That game sounds like a lot of fun. I would
It is.
purchase it if they didn't take down the site. You've crashed it, internet. Thanks.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy directly from Fantasy Flight. Like, getting Battlestar Galactica, just get it, like, off Amazon or anywhere. It's really easy to get. It's one of the more common board games. There's, like, 3 expansions for it as well, but I'd start with the regular one just so you get the feel for it and add on expansions as you go. Some of my other favorite games are Arkham Horror. It's really good if you like the Cthulhu mythos. It's really cool. But I've also been told that the latest one, which is a bit cheaper, called I think it's Eldritch Horror. Is it? Eldritch Horror is actually really good too, and it's a little less complicated. Arkham has so many pieces; it gets really, really complex. But Eldritch Horror is apparently really good.
I gotta say, my
Or you
favorite.
could just play Munchkin Cthulhu.
Yes, you can do that too.
It's just like
Where is? I have mine right here, as it turns out. There we go. Munchkin Cthulhu, the game that you want to play if you want to lose friends. It is a game about dicking people over with cards. It's awesome. And it's very easy to learn as well. And there's about 50,000 sets of it. You can play the fucking guild. Like, there's a guild version of it. So if you want to play Felicia Day's character in there, you can, for whatever reason.
Go on.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Board games and card games are great. And, like, if you have either family that are interested, just siblings or friends in your area, like, just buy a cheap board game and try it, because I think you'll enjoy it.
I've got to say, like, the specialist thing I do on Shut Up and Sit Down, because the other guys are proper experts with hardcore stuff, is I do a little monthly show called The Opener, which is basically every month I introduce a game, which is like a really good game to introduce people to board games who've never really played them. So it's worth checking out, especially if you've got friends, because I used to hate the fact that I wanted to play these things, I had no one to play them with. And it's partly reviewing the games and partly about the strategy of being like, we're going to do this.
How do you convince your friends to play it? Yeah.
Yeah. That's the first barrier, I think.
Yeah. Which ones would you like recommend? If I were to say, toss me 3 or 4 board games right now that are like reasonably priced and good openers for people, which ones would you pull out of your hat?
I'd say the Masquerade is amazing.
Okay, what's that about?
Masquerade is a kind of hidden... It's like a hidden card game where everyone has a role, but then you can swap roles with other people. But the trick of it is that you never know who you are. Your card is face down on the table, and it means that when it's your go, you can choose to use your go to peek at the card, but then also that means you can't have a go. So it means you end up having to just call who you think you are and say, I'm the king. And then if no one else calls you out and says, no, you're not, I'm the king, then you are the king. But the wonderful mechanic is that when you swap your card with somebody else's, you do it under the table. So you take your card, take their card, and then the idea is that only you know which card you've kept and given them back, but people always forget, and you have this moment where you're swapping the cards under the table, and suddenly you just go, as you realise you've lost track of which one's which.
Like, shit.
It's a really easy game,
good.
and the art style on the cards is just really beautiful. I'm a sucker for that, but it's really easy to play, really easy to learn, and it's really funny because everybody screws it up. But that and the Resistance Avalon, because the Resistance Avalon is like, it's basically all the fun of Battlestar Galactica, but it's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's got very little complexity. The Resistance was something that you can watch on tabletop, I believe, and like mechanically, it's very simple. The Resistance Avalon, what's the difference with that one?
Avalon is so much better, and we did a little like let's play of Avalon on Shut Up and Sit Down. But the easiest way to do it is that it's the Resistance, but you also have Merlin. And Merlin is awesome because at the start of the game, Merlin gets to see who the bad guys are.
Okay.
So you have one of the good guys who knows for sure who the bad guys are. But then the horrible trick is that at the end of the game, if the bad guys are able to guess who Merlin is, then even if the good guys win, the bad guys then win. So basically it means if you're Merlin, you know who they are, and you have to try and shift the whole room to working out who the bad guys are.
But not revealing yourself as Merlin. That's fucking cool.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
but then there's another mechanic in the fact you've got one of the characters, Percival, and if you're Percival, then you know who Merlin is, and you need to look like Merlin. It's really good, but yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's cheap as well. That's it's not an expensive game because it's pretty much card based for the most part.
Absolutely. That's the one game I recommend. If you want to try board games, that's probably my number one recommendation.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of people are saying Cards Against Humanity, Cards Against Humanity is a party game. Yeah, it's not really it barely has rules in and of itself, but it's obviously a huge amount of fun, especially with drinks and the right kind of friends. But yeah, if you actually want to play a game where there's some strategy involved in it, then I mean, Cards Against Humanity is not the choice.
Yeah, Cards Against Humanity is the sort of game where, like, you can start with 3 people, and there could be a person who's, like, cooking that just comes in and plays around and then leaves.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, like, the sort of game where you sit and you get invested and interested in what's going on.
Yes.
It's just like, well, that round was funny. Well, I'm going to go. You know?
Yeah, pretty much. It's not It's not really a board game or competitive card game to speak of. There's one that's sitting on my shelf that I'm desperate to play. Once the missus gets better, I'll probably try and convince her to do it, and that is Android Netrunner.
Oh, I've got that, but I don't have no idea how to play it, and I've got it literally on the floor here, actually.
Yep. It's actually part of a... There you go. It looks like a board game. It's actually... It's a CCG, but they give you all the cards. So if you hate the collectible card game model, this is a really good thing to do, because you buy the box and it has all the fucking cards in it. So you can make whatever decks you want and play, and it's asymmetrical. It's a cyberpunk game where one guy plays the runners and one guy plays the corporation, and you all have different cards to use against each other. And there's expansions for it and shit like that as well, so... Board games are great, and you should try them. Simple as that. It's actually it's why I'm looking forward to going back to LA for whatever reason for a few days, so I can force you to play some games and cards and shit. Yeah. I'll bring some of my games. I have Lords of Waterdeep sitting on the shelf that I want to play. We'll play some Battlestar Galactica. We could play Twilight Imperium, which takes about 14 fucking hours.
It just kind of feels like
alcohol.
It just kind of feels like board games have replaced the what for me growing up was like about split screen gaming, like playing GoldenEye and Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Because I love multiplayer games. I mean, I play like shitloads of Dota 2, but there's something about sitting in a room with people and laughing at people and having somebody within arm's reach, just knowing you can punch them if they've really fucked you over. There's something about that that's really cool.
It's the Blood Bowl philosophy. It's what we were talking about when we used to get frustrated with Blood Bowl when we were playing the Blood Bowl League. It's like, this wouldn't happen if we were sitting in the same room, because we'd laugh it off, you know? But if you do it online, it's like, fuck this game! It's just oh! Yeah. Well, there you go. Sweet. So that was our little board game talk. So let's talk about video games. We do occasionally have that happen. So, Dodgy, you're home. That means you must have played video games, right?
I didn't play all that much. I played a little bit of Dead or Alive 3 with my brother, because we always do.
Okay.
And, yesterday I played... I found this website where they have a bunch of dating sims, like weird, like women-focused dating sims on it. And I was like, oh my god. And so I found all of the ones that had the little Windows symbol and said free next to them, and I just like clicked all of them.
They're full of viruses, probably. It's
oh
like
my god.
You have nothing but Trojans now.
The one that I played one of them and I recorded it, but it's called Always Remember Me, and it's where it starts off with this girl and this guy. And they're like, we're gonna be together forever, we're like so in love, it doesn't even matter that my dad hates you, because our love is pure. And then they get into an accident and he forgets the last like 5 years of his life.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, he doesn't remember me. Oh, well, I guess I'll go to work. And so
okay.
she like cries a lot, and then she's kind of over it. And then the rest of the game is there are 4 different there are 9 endings, and there are 4 different dudes that you can like go for, and one of them of course is the guy that doesn't remember you anymore. So it's like, do you go for the man that you love but doesn't love you anymore, try to get him to remember you, or do you go for hot doctor, right? So that's what I'm playing so far. Yes.
We all know my women anime tropes, which is small boobs, medium boobs, big boobs. Guy anime tropes, there is girly looking guy, howdy tall looking guy, guy with glasses and black hair,
right?
And hold on, there's one more.
Young boyish guy, right? Like young, super young looking guy.
Yeah. Like the kid. Like there's the boyish guy. There's the guy who looks like a dude, but is basically every Final Fantasy villain looks like a woman. And then then there's the glasses guy.
Yeah, and the glasses guy.
Then there's the super handsome dude. That's the
brooding
4.
hot guy. Yeah, it's true.
Anime is easy to figure out once you break it down. It's not that hard.
The guy that loses his memory is really normal looking sweet guy. So there's that.
But he had to lose his memory to make it.
But he lost his memory. Yeah. So now I'm sure he's going to be brooding because he doesn't remember anything.
He's also actually a Titan but doesn't realize it.
Ah!
Spoilers.
No one understands why he's so damn tall. They're like, he's just very tall for his age.
I don't know. So I played that yesterday.
That
my
sounds
Monster
incredible.
Wagon adventure.
It was
And,
a great experience for you. No
I haven't
doubt.
played Monster Hunter in like 2 weeks. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna play that today.
You were gonna die anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Let's talk about philosophy, guys.
I'm just
Human
trying to remember any
bodies.
dating sims I've played. I think the closest I've ever got to that, I used to love it in Harvest Moon, the way that it encouraged you to, the way you went about finding a wife was to go into their house when they weren't there, read their diary and find out what they liked.
Yeah,
And then buy
give
them back.
gifts.
That's
Yeah.
that's Japanese. Very Japanese.
It's
I've
true.
never tried it in real life, but I can't imagine it working out. Well, I suppose
it
you don't
works
get caught.
great.
Yeah.
It works
No.
great.
Leading
That's why
you
Jesse's
astray.
just drowning in women right now, as you can tell.
They're all
No.
they're all upstairs, interior decorating for me.
I think you're right though, Matt. Like I think most people, the only kind of dating simish game that they've played is probably Harvest Moon.
I mean,
So
I
a lot
probably-
of people played Harvest Moon.
I probably played some suspect stuff at one point, but I mean, God knows, I'm not going to talk
Or
about
like
that.
Hatoful Boyfriend.
I don't even remember, like, you know, but Harvest Moon was the best one. Although I was always more into like raising the cows and chickens, to be honest. It always felt
dude.
like
I was all about getting my garden to look just right. Like if I didn't have the perfect squares so that I could take my completely leveled up water can and just like spray all of them at once, then I was like, and I would just get rid.
That
Just
was-
get
yeah,
rid of stuff until I could just get it all in one go.
yeah, it was just like when you absolutely nailed it. So you worked out exactly down to a second how many fields of corn you could get back to the box before 6 o'clock when the person. This will sound mental to anyone who's not played a Harvest Moon
Yeah,
game.
but,
Yeah,
but
but
it's,
it's
true.
It's like Tetris.
And like
in a way.
you needed enough daylight too, where you could water everything and then go into town and give gifts to that girl you've been stalking, right? Like
And then
there were so many things you had to do in a day, otherwise they'd
Um,
think that you didn't care anymore.
Yeah, and then you get
Like
completely
real
fucked
life.
over.
Like
by-
real life. There's so many things that you have to do to a woman in a day, or else they think you don't care.
They had like
Not
blocks
wrong.
to clear up.
That's real life.
Not
It
wrong.
is real life. That is real life.
Women work on a point system, but every point is 1 point. Yeah. That's the comparison that I heard at one point, which is probably super neckbeardy, but it does seem to have an element of truth to it. You do something kind of
understand what
yeah.
you're saying.
you do something big for a male and like it's 17 points. But everything you do for a woman is 1 point. But they require like a 17-point total. So a bunch of little things is just as meaningful. For some reason.
Yeah, I would say that a bunch of little things means a lot.
Yeah.
Can I get?
But like I wouldn't say that if somebody did like if I came home and everything was just like spotlessly clean, that I would be like, cool, so where's dinner? You know? Like
There might be a little more variance that I'm putting on here.
Yeah.
It is entirely possible that I can't quantify an entire 3 billion person gender with one single system. But regardless, I'm going to try it anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say, do it anyway. That's what I
Let's
would
give it a
do.
shot. A good old college try. I am
you
a
trying to
horrible
say, Jesse?
misogynist.
No, I was saying that while watching myself on the camera, I realized I think I have a problem. This is super white, and my face is bright red. What is going on right now?
The lighting
Like,
is
do
a
I-
bit. The lighting in both of our rooms is actually terrible right now.
Do I have a disease now? What is happening?
You might.
Look, it's just my face. Everything
You're
else is
upset.
pale. as
Are you upset, Jesse?
I don't think necks get much
So-
light, to be honest. I think my neck's the same. What the fuck are we
mad.
doing?
I-
What the
My
fuck are we
neck's
doing?
Why are we doing this? Here, guys, have a look at me neck. Isn't it wonderful? Oh, look at that.
Oh, gorgeous bit of meat
Have a gander.
Sorry, I went into my horrible northern man voice there.
I went into my regular normal man voice there.
Cool. So that's what I've been playing.
Good. Excellent. Matt Lees, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you've been having a gander
What
at?
have I been having a gander at? I've been playing a little bit of the new Zelda on the 3DS, and I've been
I've heard
really
that's
impressed
great.
by that.
I've heard
It's-
it's
I've
like
been
the
told
best
it's awesome.
Zelda in a while.
Really good. The main thing that's amazing is the music is just amazing. I mean, I know the Zelda music has always been good, but it's like, you know how every game in the world now just has an orchestral backing thing? It's just like, it doesn't matter if it's a really shit game, they'll get an orchestra to do the music. It's just standard. But this one, like, it's clearly just been conducted like so well by somebody who really gives a shit. And they're playing loads of kind of versions of classic Zelda tunes throughout the game, but every time you get a new one, you almost just go, wow, this is so cool. I don't know, I really hated the art style of the game when I first saw it, but the more time I spent with it, it's a really gorgeous game with like a really amazing attention to detail aesthetically. They've simplified lots of stuff that I would have assumed I would have hated. Like, you now don't have bombs and arrows that you have to collect. You just have a power bar that all of your items use. It kind of like does all that stuff that I would suspect I wouldn't like. And a lot of people have a problem with the fact that it's not very difficult. But I think it kind of works, because the way it works is that you have to rent out your items from a shop rather than, and you can buy them outright, but it's really expensive. But it means, because they've got rid of the wallet system, so you can just collect as many rupees as you want and never hit a cap, they've basically made it so you initially get access to like all the items and you just rent them all, and it costs about 400 rupees or something. But then if you die, you lose them all and you have to rent them all again, which means that they've kind of made it so you very rarely die in the game. I'm about a third of the way through and I've died once, I think, and I get the impression I'm not going to die many times. But because you know that if you die, you're going to lose like 400 rupees.
Yeah.
It makes you genuinely worried about dying in a way that I haven't felt for a long time. It used to be that when you die in a Zelda game, you just feel a bit frustrated because you have to go back to the start. But it's really, really lovely.
Yeah. That sounds like a good system, actually. Surprising amount of innovation for Nintendo. But
yeah, it's a bit like, I don't know, because for me, like, the most recent game that felt like a Zelda game was Dark Souls in a weird way.
Okay.
And so it feels like they've almost been reverse inspired by Dark Souls, although obviously not to such a degree. But it's interesting.
Yeah, I probably won't play it because I hate Zelda games, but I've heard a lot of really great things about it. It might get to the point of getting it just for the music. Lately, I've been getting really excited about remade older themes. Killer Instinct, I think, is the one that really got me onto that in a big way. The game just surprised me so much, and I really just love the soundtrack and the way the dynamic music actually works, and how there's just enough nostalgia in there to really get me interested, and then the composer just goes absolutely wild with the music and puts together all sorts of amazing stuff. The Jago theme is probably some of the best music in video games this year, just at all. Yeah, it's right up there with stuff like Risk of Rain and bits of like the Stanley Parable soundtrack and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Stanley Parable's lovely.
It is a good game. Very, very good game.
But I've also been playing oh, sorry.
No, I was about to ask what else you've been playing, and you just picked that right up, so by all means. I don't have to do any work. It's great. Go for it.
I've been playing the beta for Reaper of Souls for Diablo 3.
Ah, okay.
Which is interesting.
What do you reckon?
Just because I really didn't like Diablo 3. I felt like I felt like the whole auction house thing just completely ruined the game for me in a way. Just because it felt like I was working as part of a overall economic structure rather than having my own little bit of fun with my friends in the way that I played Diablo 2 a lot with my mates.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's just this thing of being like, I got halfway through the second difficulty, I think Hell, and it was like, I'm not getting anything good. I've played on Hell difficulty for like 2 hours, and you've not given me anything. And it kind of got annoying that you realised that it was like, yeah, well, no, you're not going to get anything. You have to grind, or you have to like get to the highest difficulty, because it was like teasing it out based on, I mean, like the whole world is already based on these bullshit economic systems that say you can't have this because there's only so much of it. So why should we put that into video games when the whole point is it's supposed to be power, fantasy, and, you know, just getting cool stuff and having a cool time? It really frustrated me. But they seem to be getting rid of that, and Reaper of Souls, from what I can see, I'm quite quietly... I don't know, I kind of feel like because I played Diablo 3 a lot and still didn't enjoy it, I'm enjoying Reaper of Souls, but I kind of wish I'd waited, because I think if I'd not played Diablo 3 at all and then got Diablo
Reaper
3
of
and
Souls,
its
you wouldn't
expansion,
be soured to it?
I think it would be awesome, because it seems like it's much more like Diablo 2. They've had a new adventure mode where basically you can just go around any of the acts immediately doing bounties and killing monsters to get special upgrades, and going in through portals so you can kill giant boss monsters for special loot. And they've basically made it so instead of grinding and grinding and grinding in the hope of getting a sweet drop, they've made it so in kind of World of Warcraft style, you can almost go to these raid instances where you are going to get some good treasure at the end of it. So it seems really cool, but I really wish they hadn't fucked Diablo 3 so much in the first place.
Yeah, it's got to the point where I want to wait until they release the PS4 version of Reaper of Souls, and I'll play couch co-op with it. Because I've already heard some good stuff about what they've been doing with the console version of Diablo. It's ridiculous that I should even suggest I would want to buy the console version of fucking Diablo over the PC version. But the current state of it, that's exactly what I want to do.
It plays better. It feels better, the console version. It's great.
Well, it's weird that they didn't originally release it on console as well, because, I mean, I forgot how simplistic it is in many regards. It's all like, you can only use 2 skills at any one time, and it keeps you interested by constantly unlocking new things, so you're jumping between skills, and you never really get a chance to be bored. But at the same time, like, it's very simplistic, and it's frustrating. I was doing a boss fight and playing with a new Crusader who's like a tank that can charge around with a shield. It's kind of fun, but I equipped a new skill before a boss fight, and then I started the boss fight, and I was like, well, this skill's shit. I don't want this one. But then it's like, well, you can't change skills because you're in a fight. I'm like, what? And so I was like, oh, come on, why? I've only got 1 skill. Like, it's a bit basic. But, yeah, I can imagine it's good fun on PS4.
Yeah, sitting on the couch and playing it, that actually seems like a good idea with, like, get the missus involved and just do couch co-op. That seems like a bit of fun. And it's not like they have proper LAN mode anyway, so that's the only 0 latency you're going to get. So enjoy. The technology just isn't there yet.
Nothing else on PS4 anyway, so you might as well enjoy that.
That's a piece of fucking truth. I had to send my PS4 back because the drive was broken, and I'm not missing anything, it seems. I played a bit of Resogun. It's like, this is nice. It's got good sound design, it's a real nice test for my new speakers, and I have no desire to play it because I played Defender 20 years ago. So we can just not do that. Is there anything else? No, there isn't.
There's just nothing. There's nothing on either console.
There's Killer Instinct on the Xbox One, which is all my Xbox One is getting used for right now. I play Killer Instinct on it, and I fucking love it.
He's not lying. TB and I are Xbox buddies. I can see all of his achievements that he's getting, and they're all for Killer Instinct. It's really funny. I'm like, wow, he really is playing that thing like crazy.
Yeah, I'm pulling like the achievement after achievement out of my ass for that game because I've been going through the dojo, and it's like, this is the best tutorial that any fighting game has ever had in the history of fucking ever, and that includes Skullgirls, I might add. It wipes its ass with the Street Fighter 4 tutorials. It is really good. It teaches you every possible principle of advanced fighting game mechanics, and it does it in a way that makes sense. It's great.
Nice.
Big fan of that.
I can't wait. I can't wait for Evo this year when all the people go and they think they know how to fight. Oh, it's gonna be so good.
Oh, it's gonna be terrible. It's like I learned
so
cross-ups from Killer Instinct. I just get floor wiped with you, but
it's gonna be great.
I finally worked out how combo breakers actually work and shadow counters and things like that because I got to that point in the tutorial. Before that, when I was playing against Zook a lot, I was just kind of mashing the buttons to do a combo breaker because I didn't know what combo breaker was, but every now and again, if I mashed the right buttons, I thought I had the right kind of success, and I also didn't know what a lockout was. I thought, oh, that happens when they get so far into a combo that you don't get to fight back. No, it's your own fucking fault. It's when you mash the wrong combo breaker. Basically, there are 3 different kinds of combo breakers, a light, a medium, and a fierce one, and you've got to hit the right combo breaker at the right time to break their combo. So you've got to look at what they're doing, learn their patterns, and then you can combo break out of it and reverse things. So instead of mashing buttons, I now press the right combo breaker, and suddenly I'm a fucking god. It's great.
It's when you realize everything that goes into it, you understand when you're at like a tournament like Evo or whatever, how mind-bendingly skillful these guys are. And you're like,
yeah, it's strategy. Yeah.
What? Yeah, it's impressive. It's really impressive.
That game also seems to have the perfect balance between button mashing, because you can get like a satisfying combo by button mashing, but also the strategy element where a good player will wipe the floor with you if you button mash like that. You know, it's satisfying for new players, but it does a great job of teaching you how to not suck.
Right.
It's a fucking great game, and the soundtrack is brilliant, and I'm still in awe of the fact that this came from the people that brought us Battleship and fucking Green Lantern.
Yeah. Although, actually, I reviewed Green Lantern for OXM, and I expected it to be complete shit, and it mostly was shit, but there was actually, like, the fighting in it was actually quite a lot of fun. It was quite simple, but every time I unlocked a new like combo ability, a new weapon in the game, I mean, the actual levels and the enemies were, like, properly, like, base level, will have one enemy type, and all the maps will look the same. But there was something there. It was like, this is actually fun. I mean, I actually went through the whole game. I finished it, and I had quite a bit of fun with it. I mean, if I paid money for it, I would have been like, but it wasn't terrible. So I'm kind of only half surprised that they've managed to pull something out of their arse.
The interesting thing about, I think, companies that are saddled with doing shovelware games is that you will end up seeing like these little flashes of them trying to be good, and clearly they either were never given the resources or the time or both, or maybe they just don't have the talent for it. But they wanted the game to be good. It was just actually impossible for them to make it good. They just couldn't, because they weren't given enough time to do it. And there's even the Walking Dead survival instinct has that. Like, Activision basically said, we want to shove this licensed game out of the door. And there's little parts of it where it's like, you know what? If they were given 6 more months, this would have actually been a good game. And it just didn't end up happening as a direct result. And then they get given the time and the resources, and suddenly Double Helix is like, our opportunity to finally shine is given to us. We can actually do this. We've been so horribly fucked over the last, several years by being given these awful contracts that we needed to live. So...
Yeah.
I think my favorite,
really happy.
My favorite industry story about that sort of thing was the guys who made 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, who I heard from somebody that basically the way that panned out was they were working on a third-person military, realistic-ish third-person shooter, and then one day their studio got bought out as part of a bigger deal, and people just came in and pretty much just said, yeah, you're making a 50 Cent game. I can't imagine what it must be like to be a developer who's worked on a game for like a year and a half, 2 years, and then one day just come into work and go, I'm making a 50 Cent game.
And the funny thing about the 50 Cent game is it actually ended up being good.
It's real. I love it.
It's good. It is a good fucking game. I know, it's weird that I'm recommending a 50 Cent game, and obviously the soundtrack is abominably bad as a result, but it's a good shooter.
50 Cent, let's be clear. There's no F in his name. 50 Cent.
Whatever.
It's amazing. Bitch took
50
my skull.
cents is his
Bitch Took My Skull is the entire plot of that game. Fiddy gets paid with a diamond-encrusted skull for a gig in some weird nation. It gets stolen. It gets stolen by terrorists. He tries to get it back. That's the entire plot of the game. It's fucking great.
I've still got it. It's brilliant. It's really hard to find now, which is a shame, because it's genuinely, as a split-screen co-op shooter, it's so much fun. And I love the fact that when you get towards the end of the game, like, you can either choose to buy new packs of swear words or guns, and they're equally priced. So I got to the last bit of the game, and I was like, I can either buy the best gun in the game or the naughtiest swear words. And it's like, I had to really think about it, but I went with the swear words. And I didn't regret it. It's great.
Thanks to Miles923, by the way, for the Killer Instinct footage. He's kind of been an evangelist for that game for a long time, and it turns out he was kind of right, so feel free to go and have a look at his channel if you want to learn more about Killer Instinct. But yeah, you're right, actually, Blood on the Sand is good. It's an arcadey third-person shooter. Like, they have a lot of score attack stuff in that game that really surprised me. And here's some footage from Chip Cheesham's play of it, by the way, who is a fantastic Let's Player, fucking brilliant Let's Player. And it seems, you look at it and like, wow, this is terrible. It's actually not. It's a lot of fun. The amount of guns that you get in that game is ridiculous. There's a lot of great explosions. You can see, like, there's a little objective in the corner there. Shipping tax. Collect $25,000 in 15 seconds. There's, like, kill messages, double kills, and all this kind of score attack stuff. As you said, he's constantly swearing at terrorists all the fucking time. It's good.
It's kind of a combination of, like, really good fun, and yet there's so much laziness all the way through it in terms of just... It's a flippant attitude to it. Like, I like the fact that when you go into slow-mo and start diving, it's just called gangster time.
Yeah. It's just
instead of bullet time, it's like, what should we call it? Gangster time. Like, we've got a vocabulary of 3 words, one of which is gangster. It's like, just put that in. Yeah. It's really good.
He's randomly ripping down propaganda posters for no reason. It's great.
I want to know how much feedback he had in the production of this game.
I'm gonna go with 0.
I can go on GameStop right now and buy it for $9.
You should.
I feel like this might be a worthy investment.
No, you should.
It is. It actually is.
It's as dumb as it sounds. It's actually good.
Average user rating 8.3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, wow. I wasn't lying. I'm not like, this is not a hipster thing where it's like, it's so bad it's good. This is no Plan 9 from outer space. This is actually a good third-person shooter.
It is. It's especially good to just keep on a shelf for like if you wake up with a mild hangover, like slightly debilitated, but want something fun to do. It's just perfect. It's just really easy. You don't have to concentrate, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So many fucking guns in it as well. Like the Arsenal rivals, like it doesn't even just rival it, it like beats things like Call of Duty. It's just like, let's just put more guns in it. Wow.
Perfect.
Massive piles of cash just sprung out of nowhere there for Fiddy. It's great. It's like, this is full of cash for no reason. Oh, I love it. Yeah. Thanks, Chip Cheesem, by the way. You should watch Chip Cheesem's LP on it. It's great. Chip Cheesem LPs is his channel. He's a really good Let's Player over on Something Awful. I believe he also did Metal Gear Rising, which was just great.
Yeah.
Awesome game. That's another game with a great soundtrack from this year, actually.
The reviews are the best. T-Bones says, this is Fiddy doing it all over again on a new gen console. I'm definitely impressed with the music, then the clothes and shoes, then the movie, and then the game. He keeps going and going. Well, I played the first one for PS2, and I really love it. I was impressed.
The first one was actually terrible.
Now, I hope this game exceeds my expectation. Just one question, though. The trailer seems to show him fighting in Iraq? Question mark? Well, I think it's pretty cool. He's a vigilante. That's it. That's the review.
Wow.
A vigilante. Of all the words you could have picked for someone that is shooting terrorists in Iraq, you pick vigilante. Like fucking Batman.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
God.
I love it. That guy's got it down. T-Bones.
T-Bones.
Represent.
Yeah.
Nice.
Representing and so
Yo,
forth.
what's
good
up,
review.
T-Bones?
Yeah. How did we
get
get
to a
here?
Polygon or something? It's great.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Jesse, what have you been playing this week?
Oh man, the moving stuff around game. It's much like Minecraft.
Boom blocks?
You have to blocks called boxes, and you move them into rooms. It's not that fun. It's not as fun as Minecraft makes it seem.
There's Boom Blocks
It's-
right there. Boom Blocks Bash Party.
It's quite awful.
Can I fire animals at your boxes and have them just explode in a Spielberg style? Because that would be great.
I mean, that would be great as long as they're sheep. As long as they're cute sheep. Yes.
Okay, this is taking a turn for the weird. Let's continue.
Isn't that in that game, the Spielberg game? You fling sheep.
I think there's sheep involved in some way.
It
Let's
was,
bring up some footage of Boom Blocks Bash Party.
It was an emotional kind of cinematic journey, I thought, through the mind of obviously one of our greatest filmmakers of our generation, where the merging of creativity with sheep and explosions. It's a masterpiece, Jesse.
No, you throw sheep at blocks. That's it.
No, you're right. It's bollocks. It's just
And they
bollocks.
go, eh. That was one of the first Wii games, and I was like, "Is this what Wii is? Is this what this is?"
I just remember when Spielberg going, yeah, I really want to make games. I really want to get into it. I think it's a really interesting creative medium. So I'm going to make this. And you're like, really? Really?
It's like, Gratty made Jenga.
That's it. And that's when, I think it was at the Xbox One announcement when they held him up being like, oh, yeah, and I'm going to be making some TV stuff about Halo. I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah. Like, or maybe you'll forget about it, do something else. Or maybe, I don't know. I just sort of think, really, Spielberg. I think when it comes to his interest in the video games industry, it feels a bit feigned at best. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, look, you're destroying their sheep. There's little sheep babies.
I'm like, this is a game about slaughtering entire species of animal by the looks
Look
of
at those
it.
cows. Look at those animals.
In
Look at them.
space.
You're just killing them all. That's horrible.
Did the Del Toro game get canceled?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Insane. Yeah.
Yeah. He said he wanted to make like if like in an ideal world he was able to. He said he wanted to make a proper Pacific Rim game, which I would be happy about because the current one is fucking awful.
And I mean, you think that would be so easy. Like, it's just giant robots.
Yeah, it's called Mech Warrior. It's not that hard.
Really, the only thing I played in my moments of downtime was Battlefield 4 and Starbound. That's literally it. BF4 because it's really easy to get in, and I'm actually kind of good at it now.
How did you
It's
manage
really
to play
weird.
Battlefield 4? If the internet is to believe, that game is entirely broken and cannot be played by anybody.
Oh, it's because it's inherently better than Ghost, which is just an
Yes,
awful
it
game.
fucking
And so,
is.
Even on its worst day, and Battlefield 4 has a lot of worst days, let me tell you.
Yep.
Even on its worst day, it's still better. And it's just, there's something about getting in a tank and being damn good at it and murdering people that just makes me feel good inside. It's like I'm doing good at a game and I've never been that way before, and it feels great. It feels really great. I'm like, I'm killing these people and I feel good. Get me out of that tank. I'm just waiting to get shot. I'm like just running around like, oh god, dead. But if I'm in a tank, I know what I'm doing, because the only things that can kill me are other tanks and helicopters. That's the only two things I got to worry about. And then little assholes running on the ground trying to blow me up, I just run them over. They got nothing on me. So, I enjoy it too much. It's actually really fun.
I had this massive experience boost at one point that I was able to multiply with some experience thing that had going on at the time. I got it out of Battle Pack. It was like 200% experience boost, which then stacked with some other bonus that was going on. And I spent an entire level in a light attack vehicle, and I got almost every upgrade in the game for it, just like blitz through it. So you put me in an LAV right now, and I'm a monster. I have fucking shotguns attached to shotguns, attached to turrets on my fucking thing. Like, I can't be locked onto. I've got like smoke grenades that go everywhere. It's really good, and I unlocked the Scar, which I think in this footage of you, Jesse, actually, you're using the Scar as well, and I got a good sight for it, and I started murdering fools with the Scar, and things suddenly became a hell of a lot more interesting.
This is the one you're showing is my least favorite map, because there's no vehicles. It's just you have to rely on your ability with the gun.
That's why I like this map, because I play a medic, and I'm the most annoying bastard. Like, medic bags everywhere, resurrection, just like, we will never die because I'm here, and then I'll just get in there with the Scar and just gun people down. I carry an incendiary grenade on this map, which just clears out hallways. It's monstrous. And
I've yet to play Battlefield 4, but my favorite is medic as well.
Me too.
And I love... I think it was in Bad Company 2, where it may be that they've patched it out now, but you used to be able to bring people back to life. If they died like really close to a wall, you could bring them back to life through the wall.
Lol.
And it was like being a crazy puppet master. I just used to, because I just wanted the points. I remember there was this guy who got like killed by 3 guys. It was like firing squad. And then I just crouched behind the wall, went dump. And then I just love the fact this guy kept being brought back to life and then immediately gunned down again.
It's like, I am the Grand Necromancer.
Cool.
It's like, I'm sorry, but I want the points. So you're going to keep coming back to life until they work out what's going on and come here and kill me. It is.
I don't think you can chain revive anymore. Like, not by much. Once you revive them once, if they get gunned down immediately, I'm pretty sure you can't do it again. At least in my experience, anyway.
I was that dick.
The one thing I don't like is the resetting of your gun whenever you have to use different sights and stuff. I hate that so much.
Infuriating. They've had that since. Well, for a long time, since Bad Company 2, I think, they had that, where it's like, oh, you unlock the gun, now you've got to unlock the sights for it. So if you want to change your gun, you have to throw away all the good shit. They've only slightly dealt with that with the Battle Pack system, and it's entirely random. So
yeah, you don't get things you ever need.
No! I've got, like, suppressors for guns I will never use ever. It's because it's the wrong class. It's like, here is a suppressor for the top-level SMG for the engineer that you don't play for a gun that will take you about 40 hours to unlock. Thanks, game. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Well, it's the trading system.
But you feel good. You feel good when you get your upgraded scope. I don't know, at the end of that video, because we did that one because that, like, Krendo and I are running through there because that map gives you the most points total for your weapons. And so I was like, I'm going to get murdered, but I just want my stupid sight. Because once you get it, suddenly you become like a grand champion of murdering. The difference is dramatic. And so it's at the end of that video, I get the upgrade. I'm like, yes! Just flipping out. You feel really good. You feel so good. And then go watch it. It's a beautiful sight. I get murdered repeatedly over and over and over again. I get a new scope. Suddenly, I go like 10-0, and I'm just like murdering. It's like this is why this game is so messed up. A scope a sight does that for you? Come on.
Well, the default sights on a lot of those guns are fucking terrible, so it's to be expected. It bothers me a lot that all of these FPS games have those giant treadmills on them, and even then, you might still not get the sight you want, and it's often personal preference. There's like a particular style of sight I would like, but it's from a battle pack, which means I will probably never get it, because it's entirely random.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, but I mean, I'm glad they've at least fixed, because I mean I remember in Battlefield 3, I think, as a medic it didn't give you the medic stuff until you'd like killed 15 people or something.
Yeah, that took ages.
And I just didn't play the game because of that, because, you know, I find that sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm psyched, I'm going to be a sniper and I'm going to kill all these dudes, but mostly I'm like, oh man, my brain is fried from working, I'm just going to throw some bloody Healy boxes at people and just go stand in the back being like, yep, you guys did good shooting. And the fact they didn't let me do that and be the idiot man was a bit sad.
Yeah, there's a game that's actually in open beta right now called Recoil, which is the exact opposite of that, where they just give you everything from the very start, because they're like, fuck unlocks, here's 50 different guns, and go. Have fun. Go. Just shoot people. Do it. And it's great. I actually have footage from PAX a long time ago, obviously, because I got lazy. Well, I didn't get lazy, I just had other things to do. But I'll probably just record a new video of Recoil, because it reminds me of playing COD 4 Pro Mod a while ago. And it was quite great. And this is basically COD 4 Pro Mod as a separate $15 game with shitloads of guns that you get from the very start, and you just go. And the guns are pretty well balanced. What I like about the guns is they kind of balance their roles via the sights that are on the guns. You can't choose different sights. The guns have sights by default. So some of the guns have sights that mean that if they didn't have that sight, then maybe you'd be a bit overpowered because you could use it in every situation, but they sort of narrow it down. So they can make a powerful gun that's kind of limited in what it does. So you can take someone out in a different way, which means a lot of the guns that would otherwise not be useful are. And I like that. That's a really cool idea. And it's fast-paced, and it's like it's open like for modding from day one, which I like a lot. Apparently also Killzone doesn't have unlockables as well, which is something that I appreciate.
There's one thing I still want to do, and I've yet to do it, and I think it's my goal this week, and once I get this all set up, is I want to do the Battlefield 4, like, commander thing. Where
Yeah, I
you
haven't
use,
done
like,
that
your...
yet.
I want it, because every time I go in a game, there's always commanders. Before there wasn't, and I'm wondering if that's a lot of fun, because the commanders are, like, super tactical. They're like, I'm going to drop this at this location and get there. And there's, like, things pinging on the map, and I'm like, that might be cool. So I don't... But you have to do like a whole separate thing, so maybe that will be my experiment this week. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, my experience with the commander up to this point is the commanders don't give fucking orders; they just spam deployables. And if I get into
do that.
If I get into a jet and there's like 6 UAVs all hovering around the same exact area, I'm like, this is dumb. I can't easily just shut them down either. I tried to like gun them down; it was very difficult to get rid of them. So.
I guess it's the same problem of when you jump into a game and you're in a squad with like a bunch of like mental children. It's like if your commander ends up being an 8-year-old, then you're like, we need some more tactical insight than this commander. And they're like, oh, fuck you, man. And you're like, oh no, it's a very young child.
I am ordering your squad to fuck this guy's mother immediately.
Yeah. Do we have to, sir?
Can we do that? Is that something a commander can do?
God, I hope not.
EA has thought of everything.
So it sounds like a bad idea.
It's probably DLC.
Yeah, well, they just did the trailer for China Rising. Of course, the top vote comment is, yeah, more maps that should have been in from the very start. And I'm like, that made me kind of scratch my head, because I don't really agree with paid map packs at all. But what I also don't agree with is the notion that Battlefield 4 didn't give you enough maps from the fucking start, because I think it gave you more than any other game in the series, ever.
I had a conversation with one of the league guys at DICE about a year and a half ago, before the launch of Battlefield 3, and he told me it was this fascinating thing where they basically said, we'll give you these maps for free if you pre-order, like 3 maps. And then when they released the maps, everyone just went, well, this isn't enough, we wanted more. And they found out that it was just like, whenever they offered people things for free, people then complained that it wasn't enough. And yet, if you offer them the same stuff and say, here, have 3 maps and pay £4 or £5 for them, people are happy. Whereas if you give them for free, then they go, well, why is it only 3 maps you're giving us for free? And so he was like, we really want to give people stuff for free, but they're giving us hell for it. They give us more trouble than when we ask them for money. And I noticed
that in like Warcraft, for example, at Endgame, and a lot of MMOs, they're originally it was, back in vanilla, it was you got like, Blackwing Lair or Molten Core, and that was like once every 6 months you get something new, and it was like, just deal with it. And they progressively kept making more and more and more and more and faster content. And then at the end of like brand new expansions, there'd be 3 dungeons you can do, and then there's 5 dungeons you can do, and no one was ever satisfied. And they kept wanting more and more and more. And that's a really weird. I don't know what that is. I don't know what human condition that is. But the fact that people are just like, you didn't do enough every time without fail, it's really funny. You're absolutely right.
When it's weird that if you do the same thing, but then say it costs £1.50 or $3 or whatever, people will go, "Oh, okay, cool." Where it's like, so it was just fascinating talking to this guy because I could tell by the look in his eyes that he was just like, I don't want to charge people for these things, but they want to be charged for it. What do I do?
Well, that EA would absolutely love to charge you for it.
Well, that's the problem, is it's like, they were like, no, we don't want to charge for it, and then EA are like, oh, well, come on. And like, I think in the end they had to just go, yeah, all right, fuck it. People don't want free things, so...
Humans are weird. I hate paid for
It's
map
so
packs in
weird.
FPS. I really do. And I know that maps are very complex to make now. If you compare like any map from Battlefield 4 to any of the maps in Battlefield 1942, maybe you liked the ones in 1942 more, but you could not argue they were more complex back then. They're not. They're fucking simple in comparison to what you are currently looking at. But the problem is it divides the community, it keeps dividing them, it gives you an opportunity to basically lay out, before you even release the game, we're going to charge you $90 in DLC over the course of the next year if you want to keep up with what's going on. And that to me is just horrible. It's like, oh great, I'm buying a service platform. Alright, so I'm kind of buying an incomplete experience, even though I'm okay with like having 10 maps for Battlefield 4, which is a good number, and more than Battlefield 3 did, more than Bad Company 2 did. I still feel like I'm buying an incomplete game because you just announced the other shit you're going to charge me for, which will cost me more than the whole experience, unless I have premium, before you even release my game.
Well,
I feel like I missed the boat.
Yeah.
If I don't play it at launch... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm not a big FPS. Like, I don't play very many, and I haven't. Call of Duties or Battlefields or whatever. Like, I'm very new to that because I usually get my ass kicked, and I'm like, F it, I'm done. But, buying map packs, I assume it is you buy it and then you have access to play it. And if you don't buy it, you can't ever play it, right?
Nope, can't play it. Yeah.
One of the things I like in Payday 2, they have the new DLC. And if someone is playing one of the DLC maps, you can still play that with them without actually owning the DLC. You just can't start it.
Yes.
I was like, that is cool as shit.
I like that system. And it's been used in other games as well, where you have a level of access. Actually, StarCraft 2's been doing it lately, because StarCraft 2 is in this weird spot where they, unlike League of Legends, they're not making money hand over fist because they're selling games in a very traditional way. But they did a starter edition, and what they did with that was, if you're in a party with someone that had Heart of the Swarm, then you could play some of the Heart of the Swarm content. So basically, if you had a friend, that friend could kind of upgrade you while you were in a party with them and give you access to stuff that they didn't otherwise have. That kind of system, I think, is good.
Yeah, I like that. Because all of a sudden new maps appear, and I was like, oh, do they have new maps? And then I realized those were all the new DLC maps, and because other people were playing them, you have access to them.
Yes, that's a good system, and I think that
Okay.
you should definitely do more of that, certainly.
They're going to have to, surely, though, because, I mean, I was bitten by it once. I think it might have been the Halo series where I bought all the DLC for it, and every time I buy the new map pack, I go and I play it for about an hour, and then I wouldn't play it again. But then every time the new one came out, all my friends would be playing it, so I go, all right, I'll buy it, and I play it for an hour and forget, and I'm like, I spent 50 quid or something on a game that I've played for 3 hours. And so since then now, it means, like with Battlefield 4, I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I've got it installed on my PC. I really want to play it when I've got a chance, but I know that if I miss it and then there's 2 DLC packs, it's like I'm not going to go and spend that money to play with my friends.
Yeah,
so I might have all my friends being like, yeah, it's just... I think there must be loads of people who, if you lapse at any point, you're not going to go back because you have to spend another 20 quid to do so, and that's just not a way to treat customers.
Yes, absolutely. Couldn't agree with that more. It's a dickish thing to do. But to be fair, we now have an even more dickish thing when it comes down to fucking microtransactions and $60 games. So the industry keeps one-upping itself in terms of being greedy dicks. So I guess that works. Oh, Jesus. I'm trying to think if I actually played anything this week. I played some more. I went back to Warframe, actually. And I'm kind of having a good time with that game. I mean, that is a game which kind of has its own problems in terms of its monetization. It is free to play, but the currency for that game, which basically lets you get kind of any of the weapons, although some of them are level locked, is really expensive. I got a bunch of free currency from the developer, so I was like, oh, I'm buying weapons, and I thought, how much would this cost me if I wasn't being given this for free? And I'm like, whoa, holy fuck, this is pricey.
Yeah.
And there's some really good articles on. Some people believe it's not fair, some people believe it is fair.
Can you give us an example?
Well, I can
of, like,
try.
An amount of money for an item?
Let's try and figure it out. So I'll just bring the website up for this because I can't do it off the top of my head. Well, I looked on Google Warframe, and the first thing is Warframe too expensive. Warframe. So the currency is platinum. Now, platinum can actually now be traded in-game with other people, which is quite a good system because you can sell mods that you find in-game for platinum via the trading post, which kind of, it means that the separation between the premium currency and the regular currency isn't so arbitrary anymore. I'm just trying to find the website for this. Also, there's a referral scheme. I should get in on that. Get some free plat. Because I'm a dick. But, let's see. I want to buy platinum. Do I have to sign in? I think I have to sign in order to buy platinum. Let's do this. And then I'll tell you exactly how much, like, a gun would cost. Okay.
I've heard it's expensive.
It can be. There's something called Prime Access as well, which gives you access to these kind of new, slightly better variants of guns, which are called Prime variants, and then, like, the grind to get them it's a big deal. It's like getting a legendary weapon in WoW. My apologies. I'm still getting over this cold. But the thing about this game is, like, it's entirely co-op, so it's all PvE. So it's actually quite hard to argue that it's pay to win, as it were, because the only thing you're fighting is the computer-controlled enemies. All right, so look at the prices right now. Right now, it's 20% bonus platinum until the end of the 31st. But 90 platinum in this game is $5. If you want to buy a weapon, let's bring up the wiki right now. And obviously, they do kind of vary in price here and there. Let's look at, I'm going to look at a weapon. The weapon that I currently use, which is kind of my primary weapon, is a bow called the Paris. And if I wanted to buy that, this goes bows, Paris. The platinum cost for this, where the hell is this? I'm looking on the wiki and seeing if it actually... there we go. 225 platinum. If you want to buy enough platinum for that, well, you can't buy the $10 bundle because that's 204 platinum.
Right, so it's
slightly
over $10.
Less. Yeah, so it's slightly more than $10 for a weapon while there's a 20% bonus. So it's about a $13, $14 weapon. And there are some that are a little bit more expensive than that.
That's pretty steep for one weapon.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's a bit steep. You can craft them in-game. If you get the blueprint for it, you can actually buy the blueprint for in-game currency. But then you have to get the components for it, and then you can kind of build it yourself. But it's hard for me, as someone that kind of plays casually but has platinum, to figure out exactly how difficult it is to get guns in that game for your regular person.
Right.
Yeah. There's also, like, there's daily deal discounts on platinums and things like that. But it's actually someone just explained it to me in a nutshell on Twitter. This is the overarching opinion of kind of hardcore players for this game. The thing about Warframe is that crafting the items is the game. Getting the materials to do that is the fun. So it's because it's a PvE game, some people might say this game is nothing but a giant grind. But you can make the argument, I suppose, that because the PvE missions are very, very fun, because that's all you do in the game. You do the PvE missions. That you could say, well, am I grinding for items, or am I playing the game because it's fun and challenging? And the line is really blurred on that.
Yeah.
Because you can say the whole game's a progression system, really.
I find with games like this as well, it's almost like how much can you take before you snap as well. With all these games with microtransactions and stuff, it's you're having fun, fun, and suddenly something clicks and you go, fuck you, and you switch it off and you never go back. And I find it really depressing. I've been reviewing games for a long time, and it used to be a case of, well, I'll play it, see how it opens out, see if it gets better, see if it degrades, see if it stays the same, see how much fun it is. Whereas now, with any game that has microtransaction content in it, it's a case of you keep playing it being like, when are you going to fuck me? When are you going to turn around and fuck me? And it's such a horrible mindset to play games with, of not being like, is this game fun? It's like, it's fun, but when are you going to try and fuck me? And one of the few games recently I've played that hasn't tried to fuck me is Card Hunter, and I really respect it for that.
Yeah, actually, I need to give more attention to Card Hunter because when I initially played it, I thought this is pretty cool. Now apparently it is just really good, like an incredibly good game.
I played a bit of Hearthstone and I played a bit of Card Hunter at the same time, and I definitely prefer Card Hunter just because I like Hearthstone, but I find it so almost miserly with gold and cards that it's frustrating to pick up and play immediately. It is. It's like, oh, well, you've played for 4 days, so you can have 25 gold or 30 gold. And it's like, what? Oh, especially what I hate about it is the fact that it's like, I don't have time to play that often. I want to play the arena because the arena is the most fun mode. I don't have any gold. I don't really want to buy any gold. But then it's like, well, win 2 games with a hunter. And I'm like, I don't have any hunter cards. So it means I go and play it for an hour and I lose 8 hunter games because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't have any hunter cards.
You can do that against the AI, though, can't you? If I recall correctly, you can do the dailies against the AI.
Maybe you can, actually. But it seems like, the problem is it just feels like I'm grinding to get gold so I can play the arena. And then my final straw with Hearthstone was when I disconnected because of a server error on their side during an arena match. It counted as a loss, and it was my last loss.
That's happened to me.
And I was like, "What? But you know that was a server fault. Why don't you give him?" Yeah,
that's a
Card Hunter. Yeah,
that's a definite problem. But yeah, I've heard really good things about Card Hunter. I mean, you're sitting kind of amongst at least 2 people. Me, who's actually spent $350 in Hearthstone.
What?
Wow.
I spent a lot of money on that game, but. You got to also bear in mind that I do like videos for a series, so for me it's like investing in the tools that I need to do my job. But yeah, you could sink a shitload of money into that game, and it's hard to say like kind of how fair it is because I pretty much own all the cards, so I'm kind of in a weird perspective. And I also only play Arena where the cards that I own are irrelevant because you draft. But
that's the thing.
Still love Hearthstone.
I think I don't have the choice because I don't have the cards.
Yeah.
I have to play Arena to feel like it's fair. But it's like it's locked off to me without spending a lot of money. And I think the problem I have with Hearthstone is because it feels like it needs me to spend money to enjoy it, whereas the process with Card Hunter was very much like it's incredibly generous with what it lets you have for free.
Yeah.
But then so much that I played it for about 5 hours, and it basically just occasionally goes, hey, do you basically want to buy this game for like $20 and you'll get all this extra stuff and you'll get access stuff? And I liked it so much that I wanted to buy it rather than being like, I need to buy it to enjoy it. And I think I play them both at the same time. And I think because of that, I've kind of always had a bit more beef with Hearthstone than I might have done if I hadn't been playing Card Hunter, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There's 2, actually maybe 3 card games that I want to kind of get into in a big way over the next few months. Card Hunter is one of them. The Might and Magic card game is another, and Infinity Wars. Those are the 3 that I really want to have a look at.
Word.
I'm trying to think if there's any other games I've been playing. I played a bit more Risk of Rain. Game's fucking kicking my ass. That game is difficult. But it's satisfying though. I like it.
I was gonna say, everybody seems to like it though.
Yeah. I got the beat the first level in under 4 minutes little challenge thing, and then kind of realized what I've been doing wrong for the longest time. I took some advice from the internet, which is usually a bad idea, but it still kind of comes down to, look, the best way to kind of do the game if you want to get pretty far is to hit the teleporter as quickly as possible, and then sort of kite the monsters around while you kill them and get upgrades as you travel around the level, then loop back around to kill the boss after about 90 seconds. So that is the way to really do it. But it comes down to luck as to where the teleporter is. Because you might not be able to find it for 5 minutes, because you went in the wrong direction, and fuck you if you did. So there's still a lot of luck in that game, but I go back to it like every day, and I play a few rounds, and I have a lot of fun, and Risk of Rain is a really fucking good game. I want to unlock the other classes, but it's just taking so fucking long, because I want to try a different playstyle, but that game gates its classes pretty heavily, so that is a thing, unfortunately.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's good. It's like $10. It's well worth it. Also has one of the best soundtracks of the year, by far. Blew my mind. So very good. Like, very... Reminds me a lot of Alexander Brandon's work. The kind of Deus Ex and Unreal Tournament. Like, it's fucking good.
That sounds sweet.
Yeah, it is. Is there anything else? No, don't think so. That's a good time to go to a break. We're actually overrunning by like 20 minutes, so that's fine. Guys, there's like no releases this week, so we're really having to fill time. Seriously. We're gonna scrape the bottom of that barrel over the next couple of hours. Trust me. There it is. You are watching the Co-Optional podcast. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Co-Optional podcast. You just heard Sound's Miracle of Sound and his new album, Level 4, which you should check out because it's great. Do it. He wrote us a theme song for the podcast, which we will eventually pair with an intro once we get it made. Regardless, you can check out the full album over on miracleofsound.bandcamp.com. That is miracleofsound.bandcamp.com. And he also has a YouTube channel if you're into that kind of thing, which I imagine you would be, which I think is also just Miracle of Sound. Yes, it is.
I found food.
Good. I did as well.
I found Triss Marigold. She's nude again, so we're good. And I found my most prized possession. You can't see it from here.
Good.
But it is a print of Hearthstone signed by all the Hearthstone team.
Ah.
And then, because I'm a bad human being, I got them to write, and I quote, Jesse Cox is better at Hearthstone than TotalBiscuit, and we all agree, and it has all their signatures. It's all lies, but I don't care. It's all lies.
Fucking wankers. Every last one of those developers is a fucking wanker. Just saying.
It's going to go back there, but you can't see it because it's too far away, but whatever.
Bastards. Absolute bastards. Oh well, never mind.
It.
I found ice cream, which is amazing.
Ah, what kind of... Oh, Argandas. Ah.
Yeah. One of my housemates has gone to India for 2 months, and she's forgotten to eat her ice cream.
Yeah, fuck now! Yeah.
How could you do that? It's like forgetting your passport.
It's quite similar, yeah.
For 2 months? Mm-hmm. Oh, by the laws of roommatehood, that is your food.
Yeah, that's, you lay claim to that. Yeah, it would be terrible if it went to waste. I mean, it'd get freezer burn by that point.
Yeah, it'll be.
It is done.
Go to her room. Take her stuff. She won't need it.
Oh yeah. That's the next stop after this.
They started doing Magnums over in the US, which that was a wonderful thing because aside from Ben and Jerry's, ice cream over here is generally terrible. But they brought Magnums over, and it was great. It's like, wow, these are the best.
I'm quite the Magnum enthusiast. People who follow me will know. Quite a lot of my content.
All right. I know you're thinking. Yeah. I know you're thinking of Magnum condoms.
No.
The Trojan condoms. That's what I don't know what you're talking about.
No, they're not.
They're
Magnum
good
condoms.
Too. They're good too.
Yeah. We're talking about.
Yeah.
It's basically chocolate bars. Very rich chocolate bars that are like super decadent.
And, they're not chocolate bars. They're not chocolate bars. They're ice cream bars.
Ice cream, but they have chocolate on the outside. Yes.
Yes.
That's what I meant. Ice cream chocolate bars. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry,
fucking big, terrifying.
I'm very defensive about my ice cream.
No, yeah, it's vanilla ice cream with chocolate.
It's not just vanilla ice cream. Some of this stuff is very different.
It's good.
Yeah.
Seaweed ice cream.
You get one that's like ice cream, and then chocolate, and then a layer of caramel, and then chocolate. I don't even know how they do it. It doesn't make sense. Yeah,
there's like a double layered one. They do the minis as well, which are for weak people and girls. But like, if you want the real sized one, that you could barely fit a Magnum Trojan condom over it because it's so big.
That one brought it all back around.
That brought it all back around. Yeah, it's those are the best, man. They're really, really great. I'm a Magnum evangelist, rightfully so.
Or my Magnum dong.
Oh yeah, Magnum 7 Sins. There used to be a selection of called Magnum 7 Sins, which was 7 different kinds of Magnum that came in a little box. It was,
What is the Lust Magnum?
The Lust Magnum.
Is just.
It's actually just the condom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Lust Magnum.
I can't eat this. What am I gonna do with it? Just throw it away.
Delicious. Is
what am I gonna do?
Absolutely delicious. Yeah. So there you go. Magnums. They're great.
I want that taken out of context. So Magnums, they're great.
Well, yeah. Feel free.
Yeah.
I'll start getting a bit of a reputation around here.
It's way more of a skill eating a Magnum than the other ice creams as well because they've got this like shell system. You've got to be careful with the bite, otherwise it'll all crack and fall off. And at any point you could lose. Work. It is, but it's an art to it.
Yeah.
And knowing, like, it's like having an earthquake sensor, knowing when you're about to lose a large piece of the chocolate shell and being able to intercept it. Yes. It sort of feels quite. It's a bit of a game with it.
Satisfying.
It's just weird but true.
Yeah. Magnum
I'd
is
rather play
as
that
pay
game
to
with a
win as you
taco.
get.
Yeah, it's like that, but with chocolate. So,
I don't like chocolate, so I'd rather do
The
it with a
fuck
taco.
is wrong with you?
well,
I know.
American chocolate is very bad, to be fair.
Yeah.
But
I can't blame anyone in this country that thinks they don't like chocolate when all they've had is Hershey's.
It has to be, for me, it has to be like super dark bitter chocolate, and then I'm in. Totally
much
in.
like-
But
Much like your heart, dark and bitter.
I was hoping you'd make that joke.
Set it up, knock it down.
Got it.
I try.
Let's talk about
What?
news.
Okay.
Probably not ice cream related. It's been pretty quiet over the last couple of weeks. It's kind of why I've not been doing content patch shows. I'm like, well, there's nothing to talk about. Great, okay. The consoles came out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And,
That's
and
the
now
news.
there have been lots of articles about, is Xbox One winning? Or is PS4 winning? Well,
I'm pretty
according
sure,
to
like-
Target, Xbox One is winning. But PS4 is the best-selling console in the UK. But I'm just like, God, go away. Stop.
I'm pretty sure, like, right now, it's just the PS4 is selling more, like, period. There's no argument to be made. So far, according to the PlayStation blog today, it has sold over 2.1 million units worldwide. It's sold over 1 million in about 24 hours in the US when it came out. Now it's sold 2.1 million worldwide, which is pretty fucking good. The Xbox One, I think, in the first 24 hours when it released in about 17 countries, also sold about 1 million.
Yeah.
So it's...
they're doing really well. It's
I
crazy,
mean, both
to be
are doing
honest.
good. Yeah.
It's an odd one. I mean, Sony were always going to sell more consoles because they produce more for launch. But the whole thing is just really odd at the moment because you kind of think, looking at these numbers and looking at the fact that they've managed to produce way more PS4s than Xbox Ones, that the Xbox One would somehow be more advanced or more capable. And it just doesn't, at the moment, it just doesn't seem to be the case.
No.
I don't know what's going on. Like, the whole thing has bamboozled me because I just totally didn't expect things to pan out like this. Initially, when Microsoft kind of came out with the announcement, I thought, oh, that's fudge. They've really fucked up the messaging on that. But I'm sure they'll cut it around. And I was actually, even though everyone was like, fuck Microsoft, I was like, well, you know, I reckon they're going to pull it out of the bag. And I reckon they're going to really, by the time it comes out, people have forgotten all that stuff. And it's just hasn't panned out like that. And I'm really surprised. I don't know what's going on anymore.
I mean, it's obviously panned out to some degree because it's not like they
Yeah.
sold 3 Xboxes in comparison to 3 million PS4s. But yes, the Xbox is selling worse. That's a fact. It's just a fact. You can't argue with that. Selling worse.
I mean, I want them to still feel competitive with each other. Like, feel like
Yes.
there's some worry there so that they are actually competing and giving us better stuff. Like, the competition is good for us
Yes.
rather than having one person come out ahead.
Yeah. I don't want... I certainly don't want there to be a winner so early because then like, the next 8 years could get really depressing. So, admittedly, it would cause perhaps Microsoft to get their arse in gear and make a newer console quicker. This whole 10-year lifespan thing is certainly not something I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping it's completely wrong. But should it be at the cost of, like, a year or two of dominance on one platform? Probably not. That doesn't sound like a good idea.
I'm just really pleased that Sony are storming ahead at the moment because, to be honest, up until really recently, it looked like they were just, as a company, just completely screwed. And seeing them get a foothold again is good because otherwise they would have been fucked. Because people forget it's not just about, with Microsoft, obviously they've got their PC business, the Windows stuff, and they've got other businesses, but Zune. Hey, although I'm the only person in the world who owns a Zune player still for some reason. I'm the only person in the UK anyway. I imported it. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
How
It's
do you
quite good.
use a Zune?
It just does songs. I
It
press
does
the
songs,
buttons.
Jesse.
It does the songs. It's all right. It's not a bad bit of gear. I mean, I don't use it very often anymore because I've got Spotify, but I used it for a long time. But Sony's whole electronics business has been flagging for a long time. They kind of kept the whole, we're premium price point on televisions, phones, and all this stuff. And Apple came and took a huge chunk of their business, and Canon came and took a huge chunk of their business. And they've just basically lost their brand cool across the board, which kept them going for so long.
You're absolutely right. That's true.
And they've been fucked because of it, because they've got this huge business And at the moment, it was clear that like they were really leaning on PlayStation 4 to bring them out of a bad situation. And if PlayStation 4 wasn't doing as well as it is now, it might just be that, like, yeah, the console race would be over because it'd just be like, yeah, Sony have gone bankrupt. That could have so easily happened, like, now.
That would be pretty
And I don't think it will, but it's a relief, basically.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. What really confuses me is the fact that people are buying the PlayStation 4, and I'm trying to figure out why. Because it's not like there's a compelling lineup. I guess that the justification... what I really want to see is a sales breakdown. I want to know who bought what game. Yeah, I want to know what the attachment rate is. I want to know who bought what game, because I have a feeling it wasn't a case of, oh yeah, these exclusives like knack are really driving sales. It's more a case of, I want to play the new Assassin's Creed, I want to play the new Battlefield, and I want to play it on the best machine I can, and I don't own a powerful PC. So the PlayStation 4 is the choice right there. Like, services-wise, it's weaker than the Xbox One. The fact that I just discovered a few days ago, thanks Giant Bomb for letting me know that this happens, by the way, that there's some voice control kind of cloud stuff with Xbox Bing, and you can use it, and it will search the services that is available to your Xbox for specific titles. So let's say you want to watch Star Trek The Next Generation for some reason, and you say Xbox Bing, search for Star Trek The Next Generation. It searches for that. You don't have to type it in, which is just genius. And it tells you what services, like, oh, it's on Netflix, or, oh, you can rent it on Amazon, or you can buy it here. And it brings all of that shit up.
That's awesome.
I'm like, what? It does that? That's way better than anything the PlayStation's got in terms of, like, non-game media. And everything about the Xbox's UI seems to be way better designed, and its non-game functionality is way better designed. So even though I'm only playing one game on the Xbox right now, I'm still using it because I have stopped using my smart TV's functionality for those things and started using the Xbox's because it's better.
I gotta admit, I hate what they've done with the Xbox UI, outside of the voice control stuff.
Oh, okay.
It reminds me a lot of kind of Apple stuff in the way that they've tried to obscure a lot of information. Like we were trying in the office for so long to work out where stuff was saved. We're like, can we have a look at the drive, please, and see? It's like you can't. Like you're like, can I see how big this file is? And it's like, why do you want to look at the files? Why do you want to look at the files? It's like there's no way to do it. It's like what? But
that's
I want to see, because the hard drive isn't that big, and I can see them filling up. Like within perhaps 6 months, maybe. It's kind of good to know what's using what exactly and being able to shift stuff around.
Yeah.
And also, it does kind of feel like they've made the UI a little bit weird to use with a controller, so you'll use the voice stuff. And the voice stuff does work, and it is good, but it's kind of annoying that if you try and use it with a pad, it's like, oh, let me just get to things. But they can fix that. And I made a video the other day basically being like, should you get a PS4 or an Xbox One? And my conclusion was like, don't get either now.
Don't. Why would you? You want to be a beta tester? Yeah, there you go. You'll pay for your beta Earthling.
I mean, that's basically what people are doing right now. It's like beta testing it.
Yeah. It's like, if you want to get a toy for Christmas, I couldn't recommend the 3DS more. It's got some awesome games at the moment. It's really cheap. 3DS XL is badass. But at the moment, it's just like, I don't understand why people are choosing one. I mean, right now, personally, because I don't care about media stuff really, I would go for PS4, but I know that all it takes is a patch and the Xbox One could suddenly become like so much better. And it's like, why take a gamble when there's no payoff right now?
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, if it wasn't my job to do this, I wouldn't have picked up either. Someone actually pointed out in the chat something which is right now, it's actually nice for me to be wrong, because it doesn't happen very often. But when it comes down to what I said last year, it's like, oh, the Xbox is... I didn't say it last year, but earlier in the year, the Xbox is trying to sell me stuff that my smart TV already does. And Microsoft's like, yeah, but we're doing it a lot better. And I'm like, yes, you are. As it turns out, you're faster, you're easier to gain access to, you have superior voice control. Cool. I don't have to use my smart TV's apps anymore. I can use this, and it's quick, and it recognizes me as soon as I sit down, which is quite a useful feature, and it does some neat stuff, it just doesn't have any fucking games. Which is better than the PS4, which doesn't do the neat stuff and still has no fucking games.
Yeah. But that's it. It's like a 6 month, year long.
Exactly.
It's weird though, because I felt in a weird position because my relationship with the industry is quite odd. I've been in the industry for about 8 years. I've worked in lots of different areas of it, and this whole next gen thing just made me feel really dull and cold to it. Everyone seemed to be getting excited about it, and I was just like, I get excited about games, and I was just like, I wasn't feeling anything. It didn't feel like a leap. It didn't feel like there was anything new to play with that was really cool. And I don't know. I kind of feel like a bit better about it now because I know that a lot of people have kind of like realized that there's just nothing to get excited about yet.
No.
But I was really worried. I was like, shit, do I just need to get out of games? Because we've got these 2 new games consoles here. And I work in the industry, and I've got other people who work in the industry being like, oh, if you're not getting these consoles and you work in the industry, then, you know, you shouldn't be working in the industry. And it's just like, well, I don't know. I've been a games journalist professionally for a while, but I think a lot of the time games journalists can be really out of touch with consumers.
And
I think,
true.
yeah, I'm aware of that. And so I sometimes try and maintain that by not having everything, you know? I've got access to stuff in the office, but I kind of want to try and keep myself in the same mindset. So I've got access to things when I need them, but I don't feel like, I don't know, it's a weird one because I think most people maybe are still in the zone where they don't really care just yet, especially PC gamers, you know. And I'm now primarily PC gamer, but I do love consoles, and I'm looking forward to getting a console. But give me a reason for.
Yeah, as much as I like Killer Instinct, it's not enough to buy a $500 box.
No,
I'm actively trying to search for numbers on the like what has been bought since the launch of these 2 things. Here's the thing, that is really clear. So, PlayStation on the week of November 16th, PlayStation 4, we have that launch, right? And all the games that are listed are all PlayStation games. You know, the highest selling PlayStation 4 game was Call of Duty Ghosts, then Battlefield right under it, then Killzone, then Assassin's Creed, right? And then way down is like NFL games and like NBA 2K14, stuff like that. But they're still not number 1 and 2 on the most selling. The most selling number 1 and 2 are PS3 and Xbox 360 Call of Duty Ghosts.
Yeah, of course.
So then you go to this week, or I guess the week ending with the 23rd of last month, and the sales numbers there are even more funny. It's top 2 games. First off, PS4 has dropped off the top 10. They're not even on it anymore. There's not one PS4 game on the top 10. And all it is PlayStation 3, 3DS games. Like, number 3 is Zelda, right? But still, number 1, number 2, Xbox One and Xbox 360, Call of Duty Ghosts. Here's the crazy thing. The week before, Xbox 360, 739,000 Call of Duty Ghosts on 360 were sold.
In what countries?
Next week,
Is this US or?
That's globally. That's
Really?
globally.
Huh.
That's what they're charting. Total, and that was just the week though. That was just the week. Total, it's like 4 million they have here.
Yeah.
So, then this next week, right? When Xbox One, number 1, 755,000 sold that week. Is the exact same number for a new console. I feel like people are just wasting money. Call of Duty
just
fans
buy
are
it
just
on one
throwing.
console, and then they're like, "Oh my god, I have this new console, but I think it'll probably look better. It's gonna be. Just gonna get it on
feel like
both.
that
You know,
says-
just be like
it's-
safe."
I wonder if that counts the upgrade program, because there's a $10 upgrade program to go from 360 to Xbox One. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's on PS4 as well. It's certain like third parties have offered it. It's Battlefield 4. I think Assassin's Creed offers it too. So, yeah, and they transfer your stats over as well, so like you don't lose your character.
Yeah, it's really weird because last week, and I guess maybe that's because Xbox One and Black Friday and stuff, but last week it was mostly PlayStation, and this week it's legit all Xbox One. Even Battlefield 4, Xbox One. Forza, Xbox One. Assassin's Creed, Xbox One. FIFA, Xbox One. The only PlayStation games are Call of Duty Ghosts on PS3, and I guess in Japan they released Lightning Returns, and that sold 285,000 copies last week. And that was number 10.
I think with launches it's a bit weird because everyone obviously buys their games at the same time as they buy the console, and then since there's no other games coming out, like it just goes new. Not only that, but there's no consoles for them to buy. You can't buy a PS4 anywhere.
I know, that's the other problem.
Yeah, so that's going to happen. And Xbox One came out a week later in the US. Obviously, it did that. I say worldwide, but it did like 13 countries because fuck you, apparently. But then they get that big spike as well. And then that's going to drop off. And probably towards Christmas, depending on availability, we will most likely see 3DS and PlayStation 3 and maybe, I would say Wii U, but, well, no. Even though Wii U actually has some good games and just released a phenomenal Mario game,
which is not selling very well.
No,
and that
it's
makes me
not.
so sad. It's the worst selling 3D Mario game ever in Japan.
It's the
because
console.
nobody owns the console.
Yeah, no one owns the console.
And the problem is, I mean, it's so frustrating because the Wii U is so fucked. But when you say that, people go, no, Nintendo long-term sales, and that is true. Games like Mario and Zelda do have a much longer lead than, they're not just about the release window. They sell for like 6 months, a year, because people will impulse buy them. They're like, family brands that a mum will see it and go, oh, yeah, a Zelda game or a Mario game. They've managed to niche that. But the install base on the Wii U, people are talking about long-tail sales. There is no long tail because people don't own the hardware. And if people aren't going to buy the hardware to play a 10 out of 10 Mario game, you're fucked.
What are they going to buy it for? It's got to the point where I think the reliance on that, it's not the Mario, just Mario in particular. I think Zelda is a strong enough seller. Like, already we're seeing Zelda's selling really well on 3DS, but bear in mind, of course, that already has an install base, a good one. If they brought out a brand new, not a fucking remake, a brand new Zelda game that was very, very good on Wii U, that might be enough of a killer app to get people on board.
I don't know if it's, I'll be honest, I don't know if it's one of our news articles, but didn't the guy from Naughty Dog, I might not have looked at them yet, didn't the guy from Naughty Dog say Nintendo was irrelevant? Didn't the dude like literally say like,
did he?
Look, you guys, I believe, I don't remember the guy's name.
It was,
he legit said Naughty Dog, not Naughty Dog, but Nintendo is like their consoles are relevant. They make beautiful classic
irrelevant
games.
as a hardware manufacturer. He did say that. The co-founder, in fact, by the name of someone who's
wasn't it Jason
Rubin? Yeah, it's Jason Rubin.
Yeah.
He was the THQ boss. THQ also now unfortunately irrelevant, but never mind.
And, but I mean, I think he might have. I think maybe Nintendo is crossing that, except for like handheld, which they are dominant in, which maybe they should focus on. But I feel like he might be right in the same way that after Dreamcast, people were like, you know what, Sega, you've got great characters, you've got great stuff. Maybe stop with the consoles and just start making games. And I might agree with him on that. I
don't think one generation is enough to justify, better stop making consoles. It's like, Wii.
I didn't like Wii.
The Wii sold bazillions of units.
Yeah.
The 3DS is like the best-selling handheld. The fact that the 3DS is currently thriving in a market of smartphones blows my fucking mind. That, a couple of years ago, analysts were saying, that's it for handheld consoles. You're done. You are fucking boned because these exist and everybody has one. And they were completely mistaken.
Yeah.
Also, the difference between Nintendo and Sega is really vast in terms of money, because like Sega have been basically for years floated off pachinko machines, which is sort of like borderline gambling. It's like their whole business has been propped up with this sort of dirty little gambling money that we won't talk about. Hopefully people won't notice. Look at Sonic the Hedgehog. Nintendo have just been making like more money than God off of basically toys, and the Wii was a toy, and I don't mean that in a disparaging way. It was the perfect toy. It was like you bought it for about 200 quid, you got Wii Sports with it. When the Wii came out, I worked in market research, and I was sitting through listening to groups of people talk about their gaming habits. Lots of casual gamers, lots of like guys in their 30s with kids and lots of young kids. And it was hilarious. These guys would say, I play loads of games. I've got a Wii, I've got loads of games. And you go, what games have you got on the Wii? And they go, I've got loads of games. I've got bowling, tennis. You know, that's what they sold. They sold,
Wii
I mean,
Sports.
Nintendo started out selling toys with the card games and stuff. The Wii U is an absolute unmitigated car crash disaster that will not get better, and I will eat a hat if I'm wrong. But it's not over for Nintendo because they don't waste their money. Like, they don't get flashy. They're not an American company. They don't invest huge amounts in R&D. They're quite frugal, and they've got loads of money. They can afford to make another 2 Wii U's and probably still be all right.
Isn't that inherently a problem, though, that they are frugal and that they their innovation comes in the form of really creative consoles, like come up with things that no one else is like, let's do this, let's change this. But game wise, I mean, they're like things that are coming out of there. It's these are classics, but things they're creating are going off the basis that we love them and have loved them for so long, and that's what sells it, and that's what gets us to play them. Sure, they may be great games, like the new Mario is pretty freaking great, but they're coasting on our goodwill towards them that I just want to see more creativity. I want to see them go crazy and try things, because you can make consoles as wacky as you want, but wacky doesn't necessarily sell consoles. Make a solid console, make creative games. That's all I'm asking.
I know what you mean, and also the whole thing with Pikmin 3, like they kept talking, hey guys, it's Pikmin 3 again. It's like, who are these fictional people who give a fuck about Pikmin that much? I mean, I like Pikmin. Lots of people like Pikmin, but it's not like, they were treating it like it was like, this is going to be the one, guys. Everybody loves Pikmin, they'll all buy a console. I don't know. I mean, I would say they're completely mental, but then I remember when they announced the Nintendo DS, I said, that's Nintendo fucked. A console where the gimmick is 2 screens. It's like a comedy sketch. It's just bonkers. And yet, it ended up being one of my favorite consoles of all time. The 3DS, same thing. I was like, this is rubbish. Now I love it. I can't see it happening with the Wii U, because I inherently don't really like the hardware enough. But you know, you look at Nintendo's pattern, like the GameCube was a massive failure. Before that, the SNES was huge, the NES was huge. And then the Wii just came out of nowhere. And I think Nintendo have fucked up a few times, but they've always historically had lots of experiments, and some of them have done really badly. But all they need is once every 3 or 4 to get that gold dust again. And as a company, they've got a track record of hitting gold really well. What pisses me off is Nintendo fans who give me hell for saying I hate Nintendo because I think the Wii U is a no-hoper. And it's like, I don't. I love Nintendo. I think they're a fantastic company. But it doesn't mean you defend them for everything they do.
You certainly don't if you're on YouTube either, because they have royally fucked us on multiple occasions. So this is a backwards company. You talk about, oh, they love their fans so much. Really? Really? They do? Okay, yeah, that's why they shut down fucking channels and take revenue from people that have the audacity to post videos of their products and basically advertise for them. Yeah, they love their fans, absolutely. Fucking backwards.
They're really backwards in a lot of regards. Their online stuff, it's weird. But then again, like, I don't know, I look at the all the Miiverse stuff they've got on the Wii U and the idea of having a community where it is just lots of nice pictures and nice messages. And it's like, hey guys, maybe this could have been what the internet was like if we'd done it differently. So there's something nice there. And even though it's incredibly backwards and hand-holdy and safe, it's like you look at what the world is like sometimes when you don't have any of these restrictions and you sort of think, yeah, it is a bit shit. So they're kind of half and half onto something and half just bonkers.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And I haven't plugged my Wii U back in since I moved house, and every now and again I'm like, oh, should I play Wonderful 101? And it's not quite enough to get me to plug it in, which is a bit sad, but I think I'll do it eventually. I think what we're probably going to see is we'll see a new console from Nintendo quicker than we'll see the other guys. Like, if the other guys are stuck with this 8 to 10 year life cycle thing, then Nintendo can have a couple of years, they'll realize, no, the Wii U's not going to come back, and they'll build something that's a bit more competitive. And maybe has a nicer gimmick, and is better marketed. Why did you call it the Wii U? You could have called it the Wii 2! Which would have been easy! Like, not only does that make sense, but you still have the little pun. Because, the Wii U, Wii 2 makes more sense. It's like, yeah, we can play it too. So much more sense.
Well,
hire me now! What's wrong with you?
Wii
If
U
you don't
2.
hire me, you'll pay me like shit.
They can still do it. I think the Wii 2 would happen. What I'm praying for is they don't make the same mistake that they made with Skyward Sword. Because Nintendo used to get it right. Like, Nintendo 64 had Mario 64 as a launch title. It was an amazing Mario game.
Everything was 64. You got it. You got what you were getting. Yeah.
Wii Sports was the Wii's thing. The Wii U didn't really have anything. And what they did with bringing out Skyward Sword at the end of the Wii's life cycle, what the fuck were they thinking? Like, even if it's just an upscale version,
make it a fucking launch title.
Make it a launch title, because if you get a console with a Zelda launch title, so I know they're probably working on a Zelda game now, and I really hope they don't just be like, release it at the end of the Wii U's life cycle, by the point at which nobody... I mean, I wanted to play Skyward Sword, but I hadn't had a Wii at that point for about 4 years. I sold it. Like, there was nothing to play on it. So I just think they need to be... They really just fuck up the basics sometimes.
Yeah. When the Wii first came out, actually, I was working at Game, and it was a hell day because I was the only one there to sell the Wii. Everyone else decided, we're not going to come to work today because they're a bunch of fucking wankers. But whatever the case, there were 2 kinds of people that came to buy the Wii. The guys that came to buy the Wii without any add-ons that just wanted Wii Sports, and fuck you guys, you ruined my numbers, and the guys that came to buy it with Twilight Princess. No other game was bought. Nobody cared. Yeah. Like, not a single copy of any other game was sold from that launch lineup on that launch day. It was either Skyward Sword or just Wii Sports with the packet and nothing. Yeah.
What I find bizarre about Skyward Sword, though, is that the emulation scene have quite quickly uncovered the fact that Skyward Sword is full of HD textures that couldn't even be rendered on the Wii.
Yeah, you just can't render it, yeah.
So when you emulate it, it's already a HD game.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I'm not technically savvy enough to understand why, but like, why the fuck haven't they just put it on? Put it on the shelves? Because people say the Wii U's got loads of great games, and it's true. But the problem is, it's only got about
like
8 of them.
Yeah,
it's got like 7 or 8. But like, if you're like me and you just like games and you like the medium of games and you'll play anything as long as it's good, that's fine. But most people, I can give them like 6 of the best games ever, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'll play that one." Like, it's not enough to just have 6. You need to have 20, so you can have a choice. Yeah. But anyway, this is a conversation that's been going on forever, seemingly.
My Wii U is still my Monster Hunter machine.
Well, that's it.
If
you love Monster Hunter, it's badass. But if you don't...
The interface for Monster Hunter is great with the like gamepad and everything.
Yeah.
I have yet to see another game where I was like, that was clever. That was a good use of all of this.
Can I bring up something really funny that I just had to look up just to verify that I wasn't crazy? But they're talking about an 8 to 10 year life cycle on these new consoles. And I just want to take us back to 2004 really quickly. 2004 was the start of, it was a crazy year. A lot of things happened. Like Apple thought maybe they'd stick video on iPods. There was the introduction of something called Bluetooth. Also, cameras were put on phones for the first time. Did you also know, this is crazy, in 2004, there was a little thing called video blogs that no one thought would go anywhere. I just want to put that all into perspective. That was 10 years ago. 10 years into the future, the technology is going to be so far advanced.
Yeah,
like,
it's
these
true.
new consoles are going to be garbage. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah,
what do you think about it?
Technology just happens faster and faster and faster.
Right?
So, like, it's going to be an even crazier jump in 10 years.
I don't.
Yeah.
10 years is insane. 5 years will be pushing it for me. 10 years is crazy pants.
Well, my
like,
PC
I don't know what
already
they're trying to
pisses
do.
all over anything that any of those guys could offer, and I'm due an
Right?
upgrade. So, you know, gotta shove a couple of 780 Ti's in this thing. My processor is actually a generation behind, because the stuff that was in the new generation wasn't as powerful. You know, that's why my processor is older.
Yeah.
When we get the next gen of processors, I'll be jumping over to that, the new socket in a heartbeat, and like, Jesus, you know, you can actually build a $500 PC that is competitive now with that hardware.
Right?
In a few years, you're going to build a $500 PC that craps all over it, and that's not even starting to think about the idea of streaming to your TV from a PC base station. They just patched the Shield today, so it can do 1080p 60 streaming from a PC to a television. You've got to do it via Ethernet because otherwise the lag's too bad. But eventually they might get that with Wi-Fi, you know, especially as Wi-Fi gets more advanced. It can already do like 720p 60 over Wi-Fi and do it almost flawlessly, which 720p 60 is something that a lot of games on the Xbox One aren't. So,
And I'm not going to lie, for the longest time, I thought that, and you guys, there's a video of this where I was shitting all over the Steam box. I started to think that might be a good, I'm like, Steam box might actually be good now.
Yeah.
I still kind of it's not that I don't know. I like the Steam box. To me is an idea, and if I go onto something like Reddit, I'll see like a mixture of Valve fanboyism and the skepticism. Like they've got this cognitive dissonance. Their love of the PC gaming master race and glorious Gabe N versus the fact that in their head everybody builds a PC and you're a crazy peasant if you don't. Well, here's the thing. Actually, most people don't build their PCs. I've bought PCs in the past because I couldn't be fucked. Yeah, I can build a PC, but I'm terrible at it. It's fiddly.
It's a process.
Yeah,
it takes a while, and
it does.
a lot of the times you plug it in, and the first time you plug it in, nothing
Doesn't
happens,
work
and you're like,
properly.
"Oh, you son of a bitch," and you have to open it back up.
You always bleed. Every time I built a PC, you
Oh,
will
slice
bleed.
your fingers on
Like-
all those cases with the
Oh,
side.
that's never happened to me,
hurt
thank
yourself.
God.
It screws.
Oh, it's
yeah,
a fucker.
Other
like,
people bleed for me.
Yeah. So with Steambox, my thing with Steambox is, will they be able to create a system that a lot of retailers get involved in, where basically you standardize everything for people that can't build their own PCs or don't want to, and make it as affordable as possible? And because right now, let's say, all right, I'm going to go on a random website. Let's go iBuyPower. They're a boutique manufacturer. They're a pretty well-known boutique. So let's go on iBuyPower. I am a guy that wants a powerful gaming PC, but doesn't really know what I'm doing. Yeah. So I go on iBuyPower, like, all right, Signature Series desktop. Okay, so I don't know what the difference between these is. This doesn't make a lot of sense. But let's pick the one that's on fire. Here we go. Chimera 4 SE. That looks cool. Yeah, I'm attracted by this. Yeah, Chimera 4 SE. And I get a giant splash screen. Apparently the legend continues. So that's good to know. I scroll down and I'm seeing all sorts of things. Unstoppable power and speed, with 3 fans included. Keep cooling out of your mind, blah, blah, blah. All right, okay, I want to buy it. Oh, I can't. Okay, I've got to customize. Okay, click customize now.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, there's a bunch of Chimera models here. And all of the stats, I don't know what any of these are. At all. What's the difference between an i5 4670K and an AMD FX 4100? I know that.
Yeah.
Other people don't.
Yeah.
It was no time at all, really. It must have been 3 or 4 years that I was that guy that I would go to buy a PC and you'd have like 3 ones and then you go, they're just more expensive than the other ones and you know that they're good, but you don't know why. So you end up wanting the most expensive one, probably going for the one before. But then you get to customize and you're like, well, you don't know if you need more RAM or graphics card, or you don't know what is like essential to spend a bit more money on and what isn't. Because
and if
yeah, but it's like being in a shitty electronics shop where you're talking to a guy, like it's like your dad being tricked into buying this hi-fi that's not that good because some guys told him it's got like top of the range subwoofers or something.
This
You're
right
like,
here
yeah, right.
is a great example. I'm showing guys, this is in the Chimera system, the options of which video cards to pick. Rolling, rolling, rolling. We're still going. We're still going. And you know what? The worst thing about it is that I have no idea. I am basically determining entirely on price here. If I were an idiot, let's be fair. If I were a normal human being, I would look at the AMD Radeon 270X, and then I'd scroll down. Oh, this one says 660. That's a higher number. That's probably better. I have no idea what any of these are.
But the worst part is when you are given, like, say even just 2 options, and you're like, I have the internet. I'll copy paste these 2 names into 2 different tabs and then just research. And then everything having to do with those things is also just nonsense to you. And you're like, I'm trying so hard to understand the difference. Like,
Does anyone remember the days? I'm dating myself right now, of gateway computers and those where you did not have these options. It was like you get 3 computers to choose from. One of them is called like Ultra, and you're like, okay, but you don't get any customers. You get what you get. And then Alienware came along and was like, we'll give you a bajillion options. And then Dell was like, we're going to steal that model, and we're going to do the exact same thing, but for cheaper computers. And ever since then, everyone's like, give them as many options as possible without knowing what any of it does. So if you're completely new to computers, you're just like, oh, okay.
I miss Gateway.
Gateway.
Enter.
Yeah, I want that one. I want that Gateway computer. Boom, done.
It's the best PC buying thing I ever had was the guy just went, buy this mesh PC. It's cheap. That was it. Done.
There you go.
Quid. Done. That was it. But it doesn't happen. You're right.
Yeah. No. Yes, we know Alienware is Dell. It wasn't back then. A long time ago, Alienware was its own company. But
dude, you're getting a Dell.
Yeah. Dude, you're getting a Dell.
A Dell. Oh dear.
There's a fire. A Dell. Get it? Hey.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Very good. Very good. That I think is like the biggest barrier. And for all of the nice tech that they're talking about with the Steambox, like, oh yeah, you can buy a small Steambox, which can be a streaming one from the base station, and it'll run on SteamOS. None of this actually matters to people that we need to get into the PC gaming scene. What we need is fucking information and an easy way to figure out what the hell everything is and what kind of level of power. If I were to do it, I'd do it on a couple of bases. I'd do a relative kind of set of sliders which happen to have sort of different stats on them. So it's like, all right, this is a 7 out of 10 in this power and things. But what I'd also do is I'd have a set of games that you kind of hover over, and it would give you the performance that would get. It's like, or maybe you could type in, I like FPS, and like, well, what's your priority? Do you have like a high resolution monitor display? Do you want like the highest resolution possible? Or are you kind of a guy that really wants a high frame rate? Obviously tell people what frame rate is, that would be helpful. But,
Right.
and then kind of be able to search by that. It's like, yeah, this PC right here will get on average 60 FPS on these machines with this setting. Yeah.
Didn't Alienware used to do that, where it would show you at the end what the total like this works awesome, like maximum for that, and it would show
Maybe.
you like
Yeah.
what the.
Yeah, but
I think
it's,
they didn't have sliders.
there needs to be standardization in that respect, though, because you can't rely on just any boutique to kind of do that, because it's gonna look different, and that's something that I think if you're gonna be a Steam box and you're gonna be marketed by Valve, you've kind of got to agree to this standardized set of rules and standards that make it easier for people to figure out what the hell everything is, because I think that actually people are willing to drop a significant amount on a gaming rig if they know what they're getting is the right thing. I know people say, oh, price is a barrier. You're right, price is a barrier. But people also buy really expensive cars when they could just drive around in a Kia. Because they don't want a Kia, they want a fucking Camaro. You know, they want a Mustang or anything like that. It doesn't help with your morning commute. In fact, it makes it worse. You know, you got worse gas mileage and sort of more to maintain, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they want the prestige and they want something better in their lives because we're going to die eventually, so might as well have fucking fun while we're here, you know?
Thanks for watching, kids.
Couldn't agree more.
Yep.
But
Everyone
I
you
think
know
it's
and love will
even,
be dead.
it's even more like getting down to the basics with it, you know? I think like the advantage of the Steam box might even just be as simple as taking out these equations, not being like, do you want the premium, do you want this one, do you want this power, do you want even like, before you even talk about frames per second or resolution, just being like, what do you want? Do you want like a really, really badass one for doing games, or do you want a silent one? Do you want something that's going to be in your living room and not make a noise?
That's a fact.
And just having like, just literally like, what do you want in terms of that basic stuff? Like, do you want one that's okay? Do you want one that's amazing? Do you want one that's silent? Do you want one that's small? And just offering consumers that level of choice, and then having like more detail for people beneath that. But I think what I really hope that Valve are the company to do it, but it's like the only thing holding back the PC from taking over is it's just, yeah, as you say, it's not being branded. Nobody's ever branded the PC. Like the PC has just always been this sort of massive numbers. And if you can just take away all those numbers and still have them available if people want them, but turn them into like a simple, even if it's just a number system, like this is a grade 5 Steam box, and you know that that's better than grade 4.
Yeah.
For most people, that'll be enough.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if they're the company to do it, but I'm fascinated to see.
I think the only company that can at this point, Microsoft clearly doesn't give a shit. Right? They put their Windows Experience thing in, and like, who the hell has ever bought a PC on the basis of the Windows Experience level? Nobody! And someone suggested 3D marks. Like, who the fuck ever bought a machine on the basis of its 3D mark number? Do not give me that bullshit. That is absolute nonsense.
And you're absolutely right, Matt. The when it comes to like a quiet PC versus a fast PC, the thing I looked for when building my new PC was literally, I needed to be as fast and as powerful as possible, but as quiet as possible. And that was my description when I told people what parts I wanted. I was like, that's what I want. Help me find this. And it was much easier. People were like, oh, okay, no, this is what you would need.
Yeah.
It's that simple. I was like, fast and quiet. Get me that.
Yep.
It's just that's it. And I think having pre-built stuff that's just specifically made to meet a specific criteria, because a lot of time it's just like you see a good deal on the PC, but you're like, well, does that do what I need? Like I do a lot of video editing on my PC at home. So it's like, well, I need to buy scratch discs, and I know about all this stuff now, but I've had to teach myself over the years. Whereas like my dad has had PCs for years. He's bought so many PCs. He's not like completely tech illiterate, and yet he bought himself a new PC for his office that he was told was a good PC. It looked like a good PC. I get home at Christmas and he's like, oh, I'm trying to play Company of Heroes, but it runs really badly, and it's like, and it shouldn't be because it's a good PC. And I'm like, okay, I'll have a look at it. I'm going through the PC, going through the settings. I can't really work out what's wrong. There doesn't appear to be anything malware or anything like that, but the system's running pretty badly. Turns out his computer doesn't have a graphics card. Like, it just doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Like, it's just running off the onboard stuff. So it's the rest of it, badass RAM, badass processor, doesn't have a graphics card. But I think when you're buying a PC from a website, it happens loads. when you're buying a PC off a website, it doesn't tell you stuff like that.
You
It doesn't
need
be
it,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like, this is a great PC, it's got good specs, it's top of the line, and it doesn't at any point go, ooh, you're not going to play games on it, are you? Like,
Yeah, I was
I
was shopping for a laptop because mine's, on the way out. And it was surprisingly difficult. Laptops are actually a real nightmare because there are so many variants of the same thing that have just like a slightly different number in their code, but that actually means that a critical component that you might want, like, I don't know, an SSD, isn't in it. So that in itself becomes a bloody nightmare. And there's a load of laptops that's like, oh great, look at the power of this thing. And it says graphics card, but doesn't tell you what it is. And it's like, oh, it's Intel on board. Great, that's actually useless to me. Someone pointed out, by the way, in our whole FPS thing, that CyberPower actually does that. I'll see if I can show it to you.
That's right. I've seen that there too.
There we go. So scroll down here, and don't move it. CyberPower, you're literally stopping me from advertising for you, you jackasses. I'm going to have to just move this window up a little bit. Can I... sodding hell. I have to reconfigure the window because the FPS counter is slightly too low for people to see and is on the sidebar. But as I try and fix this, which is going to be
I haven't been to iBuyPower or CyberPower in a long time since I built this computer earlier this year. But what's really interesting is that their websites have become much cleaner and less gamer, like in-your-face gamer, and more like, we're trying to sell you a PC. We're a legitimate company. We are. It's interesting that's happened. They're both like white backgrounds.
Can't really try to fix this. It's a laugh a minute. Okay. This is going to look like crap. Sorry about this, but there we go. I'm fixing your website for you. There we go. No, you haven't seen that yet. Just give me a sec. This is why I need a production team, not doing this shit myself live. There we go. That's that. And go live apply. Sweet. There we go.
Do it live.
I've covered my own face, which is probably good for everybody. This configuration right here, there's an FPS counter right here, and I can scroll down between different benchmarks. So it's like, oh, BioShock Infinite hits 30 frames per second on very, very high. Let's click change CPU. All right, what if I... Okay, I'm actually on a 4770K there, so it's about as high as it goes. But if I change my graphics card, that's on a 650. Let's select a 780. 114 FPS there on StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty Medium. 103 FPS. You see what I'm talking about? This is good shit.
That's a fantastic setup.
Yeah, not only that, but this is super important, by the way. It has a power thing on the side. Let's shove in...
yes.
All right, dual video card, 7990. Oh, shit, you don't have enough power for that now. There you go. That's a fucking system that needs to be on every website ever.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's so helpful.
No fun.
That's good.
That is beautiful.
That's good. There you go, CyberPower. You got your promotion. Can I have my laptop for free now? Actually, funnily enough, did just buy a CyberPower laptop because it happened to be the right spec for the right price, and it was on like $300 off on Amazon or something like that. But yeah, I don't endorse them or anything like that. I have no idea if the laptop's going to be any good. It could be a piece of shit that sets itself on fire, but just saying. There you go. I'm going to turn that off now and go back to the normal screen. Oh, yeah, there's a couple of websites. Like, if you want to know how to build PCs, there's the Build a PC subreddit on Reddit is pretty good. There's a website called PCPartPicker.com, which is pretty helpful for that kind of stuff. But you're still talking about building your own PC rather than getting it at a boutique. And I see the appeal. Like, the last Cynical rig was built by PC Specialist, and it was so much nicer just to say, oh, something went wrong. Like, one of my hard drives died. So I put it on the website. Yeah, my hard drive died. There was one there the next day on the door via a courier, and they just said, all right, here's a box for the old hard drive. They just took it away, gave me my new hard drive, just put it in. Or for like 50 quid or whatever, they would have sent a guy there to install it for me. It's just handy, you know?
Yeah.
Just handy. I think I crashed CyberPower.
Yeah, I don't know why people are so...
Whoops.
I don't know if people get so funny about like people just buying PCs made. I mean, unless you do need it for a specific kind of something specific,
Nothing wrong with
you're
it.
largely just able to just buy it. Like, I mean, I built the reason I built mine is because I wanted it to be for video editing, and because that's kind of still if you want to be intensive about it and you want to be working with like, for pleasure, I do stuff with like SLRs and lots of encoding and lots of grading and stuff, quite intensive stuff.
Yeah.
You can't just go to a PC website and be like, get a top PC for editing. You need to kind of custom build it and stuff and have all the partitions and the right setup and SSDs and all this nonsense. But for most people, just want to buy it for games. I mean, I think all this stuff is really interesting, but I find it so weird that even lots of like quite serious gamers are so out of touch with the PC gaming thing. They don't even know you can just get a wired 360 pad, plug it into your PC.
I have to keep telling people that.
I know, me too. And I don't know what's going. I mean, I think it's interesting that we're talking about this. That website looks awesome for like kind of hardcore PC dudes, but it's like people are so distant from people who aren't PC gamers are so distant from the hobby now. They don't even know that. And it's like, that's why I got into PC gaming, because it's like my Xbox 360, but it looks lovely.
But it's better in every possible aspect.
And there's no adverts, and I can also use it to edit videos and stuff. And I don't know, I think a lot of people still think, and as much as I love like, stuff like Dota 2 and StarCraft 2, I think a lot of people still do think that PC gaming is just that, when actually it's just all games.
No, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's all of those.
There's a disconnect, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a branding problem. When you think of a PC, what does your average person on the street think of? A beige box in the corner of their office that they do their Excel on. That's a marketing problem. Your brand has problems. And as you mentioned, one of you mentioned earlier anyway, PC is not a brand because nobody owns PC.
It's not like Mac.
Yeah. You know what a Mac is?
PCs are like many companies that all...
Douchebags own those.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
Yeah, Mac users.
Fuck you, Mac users.
And Linux users are all super nerds.
But they won't be soon because SteamOS.
I know.
And then everyone will love
I said it.
Yeah.
I just want to point out something really quick about Mac. The other day, I had to go to the Mac store to get something fixed on my brand new iPad.
I think you mean the Apple Temple.
Whatever the case may be, I got there, and I had to wait in line to go and spend money. I had to wait in a line outside to talk to a person who said, "So what are you here for today? What can I help you with? We're going to book you an appointment with one of our specialists." I'm like, I just want to give you my money. I literally was like, he's like, it'll be about 40 minutes. And I was like, I just want to go in and buy something. And he's like, it'll be about 40 minutes. I was like, shut up. I literally got mad at the guy. I was like, you're going to make me wait 40 minutes? He's like, you can just wait in the back and we'll get someone on you really quickly. I was like, I'm going to have to wait to buy something?
Yeah, because they don't have any fucking tills. They're idiots. It's the dumbest shit. You know what any other regular store lets me do? Go to a shelf, pick something up, take it to the fucking till, and then I might have to wait in a queue, but I don't have to chase someone around,
I had my first and last experience in an Apple store about a year and a half ago, and it was the worst thing. I went in because basically I was told for a work gift, somebody said, look, you need to go and get a leaving gift for somebody. We didn't really know them that well. Fuck it. Apple vouchers. Done. Like, everyone likes iTunes. Cool. But I had this massive bag of coins because it had just been from around the office. So I just turned up with this big plastic bag full of coins. I'd gone all over town trying to find Apple iTunes vouchers. Couldn't find them anywhere. Went into the Apple store and I was just walking around clutching these coins. And I had to say to the employee, I was like, I'm British, so I don't like asking people for questions when I can work something out on my own. So I'm like, well, I'll just find the till myself. And after I'd scoured the church about 4 times, I was like, there are no tills. And I had to say, where are the tills? How do I pay for something? And they were like, oh, you can just talk to any of us. And I realized they all had card machines like attached to their holsters, like a gun.
Yeah.
But then I showed them this bag of money, and yeah, they did actually have a secret till with money in it. But they looked at me. Everybody in the store looked at me like I was scum because I was paying for something with money. Oh! And I just thought, man, like, Apple is for dicks.
It's a perfect time to go to a break, ladies and gentlemen. On that note, when we come back, we'll probably talk about more news because the releases are basically not even there. And we'll try and fill up the show with bullshit, mostly. That's the plan. We'll be right back. Enjoy. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-optional Podcast. I say the final hour begins, but it's more like the final half an hour because we overran the other 2 sections, which is deliberate because there's fuck all on the release list. Dodger, introduce all of 10 minutes, if anything.
Go,
okay.
Go. In the US,
go,
starting today,
go.
we have Rainbow Moon for PlayStation Network Vita. Tiny Brains for PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Escape Plan for PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
And Stick It to the Man for PlayStation 4.
Which apparently is quite good.
Stick It to the Man
quite
is?
Yes, apparently Stick It to the Man is quite good.
On December 5th, we have Yesterday.
All my troubles seem so far away.
It's on there twice. I don't know
Okay.
why. We have Yesterday and Yesterday on the 5th. On the 6th, Gran Turismo 6 for PlayStation 3.
Ah, yes, excellent. The latest and greatest racing game for the old console. That's going to be awesome.
Yay.
Looking forward to that one. I
Good
can't
thing
wait
for
to see how many microtransactions it's got in it. Apparently quite a few.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And Gomo for PC.
What?
I don't know what that is.
What the fuck is Gomo?
Gomo.
Let's look it up.
Yeah!
Gomo! Oops,
Do that.
Oops, Gomo!
It's possibly something that I should have answered in a video called What the Fuck
Game.
is Gomo?
Welcome to Gomo Game Lodge. That's not what I want.
When I type in Gomo, the first thing I get is the Urban Dictionary definition: a homosexual who is also geeky or into geeky things. A Gomo.
I
Oh!
wonder if that's deliberate or not.
That's cute. That's cute.
Hey, Gomos.
What up, Gomos? How you doing out there?
I have no explanation as to what this is, unless this
It's
is
not
Gomo
showing
Gomo.
up.
No,
When I type
not
when
a
I
thing.
type it in, I just get the place in South Africa.
I
the
don't know.
Gomo Game Lodge.
Yeah.
I have no idea what this is. So I guess
Gomo's
that's...
coming out for PC. And
What is-
then on the
Yeah,
9th,
yeah.
we have Peggle 2 for Xbox One.
Peggle 2!
Can't wait to see how many microtransactions that one's got.
Fucking
I found the
unicorns.
Gomo trailer,
Yeah.
but it's only on GameSpot.
What the fuck?
What?
I don't know.
New
I'm trying to figure out what this
guys.
is.
Peggle
You
2, in which EA wants you to buy their balls.
And then on the 10th, we've got Sorcery Saga Curse of the Great Curry God, which
Yes.
we looked up last week.
Indeed. Which I
Yes.
must apologize, by the way, guys, is actually not by Axis. Axis is the publisher. So there you go.
That is the difference. That's for Vita and PlayStation Network Vita.
Yes.
On December 17th, we have Indoor Sports World for PlayStation Network Vita. As
what?
well,
Indoor Sports World for Vita? What?
Indoor Sports World for Vita. You know,
What?
it's
Of
a
all
game
the
about
consoles?
Indoor sports, like
Of-
chess.
All of the consoles you could have picked. You picked the Vita for that.
Surely you can play any sport indoors, providing you've got a building
Enough
that's big enough.
space.
That is true.
Yeah.
I don't
Gomo.
know.
Well, I mean, horse racing could be difficult.
No, that doesn't. You could have a really small, like,
Small horse?
do laps.
That was
Yes,
really
Jesse?
really small horse. Yeah.
What is
small
Gomo?
horses.
It is a point-and-click game that is sort of beautiful, but you basically are going after your dog.
Okay.
There's a Gomo trailer by
Oh.
Fish Cow Studio.
The art style is interesting. Oh, they're from Slovakia. They're a Slovakian-based development team. And that is their
So
first
it's
game.
a point and click. Oh, look at this. Yeah, no, it definitely does look silly. Your guy is just being tossed around by monsters, tossing him around. There's
Good.
robots and things. It looks cute. It looks cute.
Sweet.
Pick up Gomo. Pick up Gomo.
So there's that. Also on the 17th, we have Mutant Muds Deluxe for PlayStation
Yeah.
3 Network and PlayStation Network Vita.
I have no idea what that is.
It's
That's
got
all.
deluxe on the end of it, though. It must be good.
Yeah, it's
Obviously.
got Deluxe, so. And Mutant.
Deluxe.
Love pixels? Fond of platformers?
Oh.
No, neither of those. I've done like
He's
100
like,
of them this
That's
year.
my least favorite thing in the world, actually.
Oh god. Mutant Muds Deluxe is a 12-bit platformer. A 12-bit. Because you may just be a 2D sprite, but you can leap into the third dimension by jetting between the background and foreground. That's how the game works. That doesn't make it 12-bit, you just made that up.
They're coming up with their own termos.
Yeah, screw those termos.
Yeah.
Hang on, did you just make up new terminology for
To
terminology?
talk about new terminology.
That's good. That's good. New terminology is one
so
of my
much.
least
You legitimized
favorite
it
things.
immediately.
Fuck.
It works.
It was a trap
Hey.
all along.
I hate they do that. They did that with Fuse. They were like, "Oh, it's echelon mode. What is it? Oh, well, it's horde mode." It's like, why don't you just tell me that? Like,
It's a fucking horde mode.
no. It's no.
It's a hero brawler, Matt. A hero brawler.
Yeah. Oh, good lord. Yeah. I wish we just decide what we're gonna fucking call Dota 2 and League of Legends before the world implodes. Anyway,
What else we got?
Next up, on the 20th, we've got EF or F, The Latter Tale for PC.
It looks like it's a dating sim. I can't figure out what. I'm looking at it right now. A lot of anime girls.
There's
lots
anime
of
shit involved.
EF, The Latter Tale.
It's an adult visual novel series. Oh dear.
Oh, there's
It is
some
a dating
boobies
sim,
in this.
huh?
Yeah.
I see some boobies. I'm okay. Hello.
Yep, it's a dating sim.
I want to date that.
I'm so glad that we are getting these great Japanese imports.
Yeah. On the 31st, we have Shady's Poo Pong, 20th
sorry.
anniversary edition.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Don't Google it.
20th anniversary edition?
Shady's Poo Pong.
You cannot be serious. What is this thing?
I mean, I've played beer pong, but
This is Poo Pong. It's much more dangerous.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, this is... oh my god. No, it is exactly what you think it is. It's
God.
Pong. It's Pong with shit in a toilet.
wow. Pong isn't even a good game.
I have no idea how this got on the release list, but apparently it fucking did.
We did it, guys. We've made it.
That's great.
And
Wonderful.
then on January 1st, we have No Maria.
Oh, no Moria, yes.
No Moria.
That's finally coming out. Okay, yeah, that's supposed to be kind of a
No more-
simplified
yeah.
version of Dwarf Fortress, a sandbox village management game with gnomes as opposed to dwarves. But I believe it's been on early access for a very long time on Steam. I'm gonna be honest. When I tried it very early on, it was fucking impenetrable. I will probably try it again once it actually hits release.
And then the EU list is even shorter. December
Yeah.
4th, Rainbow Moon and Robot Rescue Revolution.
I'm curious as to what Robot Rescue Revolution is.
I think we should look it up.
We should. We absolutely should. It is dodge flamers breathing scorching fire. Oh, that sounds like my daily job. Deactivate paralyzing Tesla machines as you guide wacky robots trapped in treacherous labyrinths to the exit. How do the robots get trapped in the treacherous labyrinths? That I would like to know. They can't be all that smart.
Maybe they were built inside the labyrinth.
Oh, that seems a bit inconvenient because you'd have to like ship the materials into the labyrinth on a regular basis.
That's true.
So
And the scientists got out, didn't they? So
apparently. Scientists were smart enough. Maybe the robots rebelled, so they were locked in a labyrinth, like some kind of modern-day Minotaur.
Ah.
It looks...
so many questions.
Yeah.
no
that's
answers.
Robot Rescue Revolution, guys.
Apparently it's the toughest puzzler yet, with the wackiest robots around. Somehow I feel that might just be buzz, and not a real thing.
On December 6th, we have Gran Turismo 6 for PlayStation 3 in the EU, and Bravely Default for 3DS.
Yes.
What is that?
I've heard a few things about that might not be terrible.
Yeah, same. I've heard it's quite good. I mean, basically, it's a JRPG from the chaps who brought you Final Fantasy before it became an incredibly boring trudge. And from what I gather, it's basically a JRPG that's quite cool because it remembers what's cool about JRPGs and just completely jettisons all the stuff that makes them really grindy and bad. I don't know, Square Enix, some of the offshoot stuff can be quite good. I feel
Yes.
Bravely Default, I don't know though. Everything I've heard about it is quite good, but apparently it does have microtransaction stuff in it.
That's Square Enix in a fucking nutshell.
Which
these
is
days.
like, but I've heard really good things. I'm looking forward to checking it out at some point.
I love the fact there's an updated version apparently titled Bravely Default for the sequel. That's like, you're just being honest about that. I can appreciate that. That's what it literally translates to.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, apparently the Western version of it is actually based on that, so... Oh, it's developed by Silicon Studio. They made 3D Dot Game Heroes, which was actually good.
Oh, yeah.
That's another 3DS game that's actually worth having. Wow, the aggregate Metacritic for this, as much as I don't put much stock in that, is 92, which is pretty good.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like, I loved JRPGs when I was growing up. I played, like, pretty much every SNES JRPG I could possibly find because I had way too much time on my hands, and it was great. But now I can't play a JRPG unless it's on a handheld console because the only time I have for that sort of thing are flights and long journeys or commutes. Like, I'm never going to get through a 100-hour JRPG on a home console anymore. It's not going to happen. I've got too many things to do in my life. So
I didn't play enough of Ni no Kuni or Tales of Xillia as a direct result of that, actually. You know, whereas if they were on Vita, I can pretty much guarantee or whatever. What annoyed me most is that Ni no Kuni actually did come out on 3DS in Japan and never came over here on portable.
Yeah.
It's just like, fuck, you know, I would have actually played more of it. If I'm traveling on a plane, that's a perfect time to break that out.
And actually, Ni no Kuni, I love it, but it's very much guilty of that. And the problem is, hardcore JRPG fans will hate me for saying this, but it was way too fucking long. I played it for about 40 hours, and I realized I still had another 20 to go. And I was like, I don't have the time for this. They always seem to, like, JRPGs have this weird curve where, like, the amount of story as time goes down like this. So you start off with loads of story and exposition, and then it gets to the point where it wants you to play for, like, 7 hours every time before you get another cutscene, and it's like, I'm not made of hours. Let's finish the story.
I think that's what Persona 4 did better than anything, because it was kind of based around that the whole year. It was perfectly paced as a direct result of that. So, yeah, I'll defend
Persona
that to the
3,
death.
Yeah, Persona 3 was terrible with that. I was like, I loved Persona so much, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to finish it. And I was talking to a guy being like, I think I'm almost there. He's like, oh, where are you? I'm like, I'm at floor number like 97. I'm almost at floor 100. And he's like, oh no, man, it doesn't end at 100. And I was like, what?
Did you play?
like,
did you play Fess as well, which has got like an entire new game basically attached onto it?
It's too much.
Someone in chat's like, I thought Persona 4 had abysmal pacing. It's like, I think you're an idiot, but you know, Persona 4 has great pacing. Fuck you.
It's sad because some of these games have amazing stories,
seriously.
but they don't.
I'll defend that game to the death.
Lost Odyssey was awesome. That was brilliant, but it again too long. Like, but that game made me physically cry several times to the point in which when I was playing it, I had to keep a towel next to me because I kept crying. That's not even a lie.
It has a good story. Lost Odyssey really did.
I mean, I am a pansy, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's a given.
Damn. Okay. Last two games on the EU list. December 11th, Tiny Brains for PS4. And December 13th, Adventure Time Explore the Dungeon, because I don't know, for Wii U and 3DS.
Yeah. I need to do a video on the Adventure Time game from the perspective of someone that has no idea what any of that shit is.
You should.
Oh my god, they will. The internet will be like, how dare you?
I was considering doing it for Naruto, but since it's locked at 30 FPS, I'm like, it's not worth my time. Fuck you. Although maybe I could do another video like the Need for Speed one and make a bunch of money that way, but I don't know. I think that only really works once. Anyway, yeah, that's it for releases, really. There's a lot of indie games kind of hitting Steam at this very time, because the Steam sale just ended, which means it's time for everything to come out.
Games, yeah.
Yeah, so like in the past few hours alone, there's been Half-Life before, Vector, Two Brothers, not to be confused with Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, Tiny Barbarian DX, Post-Mortem 1 Must Die, Draw a Stickman Epic, Alex Hunter Lord of the Mind, Darkfall The Journey and Darkfall 2, which are actually really old games, but, you know, Steam doesn't like to tell you that. Gravity Badgers, which is the best named game anyone has ever come with. Fucking Gravity Badgers. There's a giant gap between those games and the ones that came out before that, because no one's allowed to release games during the Steam sale, apparently. So, yeah, we just got like 10 new games on Steam. Enjoy that.
Can't keep up with Steam.
No, at this point, no. Vector looks interesting. I don't know if it's any good, but... Vector is an exciting arcade-style game where you play as an exceptional freerunner who won't be held down by the system. I hope the soundtrack for that's My Lonely Island.
Yep.
The entire game's just about throwing cakes on the ground. Like, yeah, fuck your system.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Very nice. Cool. I like PCs. This actually looks like a...
Gravity Badgers.
Gravity Badgers!
Precisely. I've got that in my mind now, and I've still, after the whole robots trapped in a labyrinth thing, I keep envisioning all the Greek myths, but with robots in them, and it's brilliant.
That's an entire line of new DreamWorks pictures right there.
You can put them everywhere.
Guys, can I... Scroll down to the second list of 10 and go look at the Last Express Gold Edition.
Yeah.
And click the first picture and tell me that doesn't want to make you play the game immediately.
Yes. Last Express, man. That was an amazing game back in the day. As I count, 1997, it used, like, I think, wasn't it a Laserdisc for at least at one point? It's pretty much all rotoscoped, so it still looks good, even though the resolution is terrible.
hilarious.
Yeah, that is a waiter with a great mustache. Gotta say,
That man's mustache is fabulous.
Last Express is actually great. It's a good game. Absolutely.
It's already being bought. It's already being purchased. I want
Yeah,
to play
you can
that
get it
so
on
bad.
iOS, which is actually a perfect platform to play that game now, because with a small screen, the resolution doesn't look as dated. That's nice. Man.
What?
I like how chat was just like, is that Nicolas Cage?
It kind of looks
Yes,
like
guys,
him,
that's
actually.
Nicolas Cage. It does look like him.
In 1997, he had a desperate time, so he decided to be rotoscoped and put it in a video game. Is there actually a video game with Nicolas Cage in it?
I don't think so.
There should be.
Let's
You've
find
got
out.
Zelda mods, haven't you? The Ocarina of Time mod, which turns most of the textures in the game into Nicolas Cage's face, which obviously is
That was the first one on the list.
inexplicable.
Yep.
But,
Top 5 Skyrim mods include zombie Nicolas Cage attacks. That's a good one. And there's a Left 4 Dead one with Nicolas Cage in it as well. But
Horrifying.
oh wow, it changes the flashlight to a face of Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
I don't believe there's a single video game that has had Nicolas Cage in it in any way.
What
I
about,
want
have they
that
made
bad
any
thing.
Ghost Rider ones? Any
Was there a
tie-ins?
Ghost Rider video game? I bet it wasn't voiced by him. Yeah, there was a
No.
Ghost Rider video game. It was a PlayStation 2, and I think it was
Yeah.
on the old Xbox as well. Oh god, it was on PSP as well. And
That was the Dark
Huh.
Ages, when whenever there was a film, there would be a game, and it would be shit.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting. This is a bit of a rabbit hole thing. The Ghost Rider's PSP version, apparently, this is written in italics, which is weird on Wikipedia, has received excellent reviews. It was only criticized for Ultimate Ghost Rider not available as playable character. This isn't even written properly. Its graphics were highly praised and also the voice acting. Full stop. IGN called it an absolute blast. Citation not there. However, the PS2 version faded in front of the PSP version. In what universe is that true?
Yeah, it faded in front.
It faded right then.
That is a teen romance novel. He faded before her eyes.
Suddenly, in the magic smoke, it faded. I love it. It's theatrical.
Apparently, the
true.
Game Boy Advance version of the game got 7.8. Apparently, the Game Boy Advance version was the one to play. That was the one.
I still have my Game Boy Advance.
Fucking great machine. So many good games on that. Don't even.
Oh, that was probably the best handheld ever. All the DS.
Oh,
So good.
Picked that up and got Duke Nukem on it and Doom. It's like, yeah, I can play Doom in my hand and it's actually good.
I can play Doom in my hand.
Yeah.
I just remember Advance Wars, the whole thing of going for toilet breaks, but then actually getting to the point where you were going for toilet breaks when you weren't using the toilet.
Because you want to play
Oh,
Advance Wars.
It's like I almost lost my first job because my employer was like, "Why are you in the toilet for like 3 hours a day?" And it was like, I think I just went, "Oh, it's
did you reply with, I have Doom in my hands?
it's good."
Nice.
Why are you in the bathroom all the time? I've got Doom
I've got Doom on my hands. Don't fire me, please. Please, I need this.
Perfect.
Oh my god.
That was good.
Oh, bleep.
Oh, man. So, Jesse, I think you had like a topic for the last 10 minutes. I'm not sure if it's a good idea to delve into it. Is this a rabbit hole we don't want to go down today, or it's up to you?
Well, I don't. It's not. Usually, it's not like the girls v boys things playing games. It's Polygon had an article that was basically why marketers market games towards boys and why it didn't used to be like that, but now it is like that. And it all started because this little girl was pissed that there was an aisle for girls and an aisle for boys at a toy store. And she was like, why is that? It doesn't make any sense. And I read the article. It's actually really good, but there's fundamental flaws with the thinking. But I just wanted to see if you guys had a chance to like read it or figure out what it's about or if you agreed. Because I have a few issues here and there, but I think generally overall, they're right. Over time, marketing, just like early industry kept one-upping themselves, like compounding problems with everything the game industry does. Same thing here. They marketed towards boys a little bit, and then more, and then more, and they're like, more boobs, and more violence, and more, until now it's where games are like, we focus target boys for these games. And that's really how they do all game selling now. And I think that's what the general gist of the article was. The problem that I had with it overall was that it tells you these things and says, you know, back in the day, games like Pong and stuff like that, they were marketed to boys or whatever. They tell you all these things, and then they tell you how things have changed, but then it just ends. Like, the article ends, and there's no, like, good ending to it, like either a call to action or an explanation why this is justified or why it isn't. Like, it just ends. And I was like, that's a really shitty way to end an article about something that you clearly feel passionate about. And I was like, give us something.
It's hard because, like, with marketing, and, like, you know this, but, like, with marketing, obviously, it's the most effective if you have a very specific type of person that you're marketing toward.
Exactly.
If you can say, all right, we want our marketing to connect with this person, and they're going to see that marketing and be like, that's what I'm into.
That's
you know?
for me.
Yeah. And I think, like, it's hard to even come up with ideas of how to tackle that, because the more that you market to everybody, the more your message is just really blah.
And that's
you can't figure out, like, yeah.
I mean, that's the problem that I have. I mean, that's my general problem with the article. To me, it's a complaint. There's no offer, it's just a general, like, this is wrong, I disagree with this.
It's a good history of it, I think.
Yeah, but
it doesn't offer a solution.
But it leaves out key important things that I think are necessary for the overall argument, where it talks about, like, how Pong and those old games were very, you know, it was open to everyone. And back in the day, gaming was open to everyone. Well, there's a reason for that. That is not addressed in this article. You can't market pixels to dudes or girls. Like, you can't. Like, they're little tiny dots. You can't market that to someone. Later on in the 90s, when games like, suddenly you can see boobs on a girl in a game, they're like, all right, we know who we're marketing now, right? Or if there's explosions in a game, we know who we're marketing to, right? And so you can focus more as graphics become more real and more visually what people want. So by saying back in the day it was never like that, it's a false argument. You can't say that, because back in the day, games didn't look, it was dots. It was dots that you were playing.
They did have text, though.
It was actually earlier than the 90s with that stuff. Because it's weird, because I've recently, like, this is a really interesting topic, because I literally did loads of research on this quite recently for a TV thing in the UK that I did some writing for. And it was, the arcades were mostly like blokes just playing it. It was mostly a blokey adult thing that people did in pubs. And because they weren't marketing, as you said, they weren't marketing at anyone. They just put these machines in places and then suddenly started going, shit, we're making loads of money on these things. And it was Pac-Man that did it weirdly. All it took was color. It was the fact that Pac-Man, for the first time, before that, it was all black and white. Pac-Man had colorful characters.
Yeah.
Because it had colorful characters and these 4 ghosts, the marketers immediately went, kids, we can turn them into characters, cartoon characters. So that's where the whole myth that is only now starting to fade away, that video games are for kids. I guess that's the problem, is there wasn't really any solution offered by the article, but it's almost like, it's crazy how these almost off-the-cuff decisions that are just made by a handful of people,
that's
like with
the best
Pac-Man.
part, yeah.
It's just like, with Pac-Man, they literally just went, oh shit, it's got 4 different ghosts that are different colours, we can turn them into cartoons, we can make a cartoon, it's for kids. And then that made it so the whole medium for the next 30 years was deemed to be for children. And I mean, like, if you told the person who made that call originally that was going to happen, they'd be like, no, shit, no, this is just for this thing. Like, it's crazy, the impact this stuff has.
And it's what I think is the best is, I think, even though the article, I think, has some failings, it does describe marketing really, really well. And I used to, when I would teach, I would always tell students my favorite story about marketing, how Listerine was originally a cleaning product. And they couldn't sell it to clean. And so they said, well, we have all this Listerine. What the hell are we going to do? They created bad, like, breath. Because everyone had bad breath back in the day. They created it as a problem and made ads that were like, oh, well, how can I marry him if his breath stinks? And so people bought Listerine stuff to clean their breath. But it was never a problem for anyone back in the day. Now everyone's like, oh, his bad breath. They made it an issue, right? And so I think it's hilarious that that same thing happened with gaming, where even in stores that, like, not video games, the reason why there's a boys aisle and a girls aisle is because someone somewhere along the line said, instead of just combining all of it and listing it by game type or board game or whatever, why don't we just separate it to like things boys like and things girls like, so we can save time for people shopping? And that's just the way it's been ever since then. And it's crazy how that's the way it is, but that's just the way it is. And only in the last 2 years, when we've seen this really big rise of vocal girl gamers who are like, enough of this shit, let's talk about it, has this become an issue. And it's funny to look back and be like, holy shit, it really was kind of messed up. But it got here because we all like, no, you know, it is easier to find kids' toys if I go to the boys section because I'm looking for a boy. Right?
Yeah.
It's just that's the way it works.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that that's how it is.
And it's what Brooke said earlier as well, which is absolutely correct. The idea of you market towards a person and that person they feel special because it's like, this product is for me. This company understands me specifically. So I am far more likely to buy as a direct result. And you can say whatever you want about not being affected by that, but marketing's far fucking cleverer than you. So yeah,
it's a science.
It is a science.
And it's like, it's a gross science, but it's a science. Like they know,
it's
they
basically
know how
mental
to get
manipulation.
Most people.
Yeah. It's about shaping
is.
a person's mind from birth to like specific things, and it's insidious. But it never necessarily started out that way. When I say, let's just take YouTube demographics as a good example. You know, the same science applies there. When I started making videos on YouTube, I did not deliberately target 25 to 34-year-old males, primarily in the US, but, you know, with some a strong audience in Europe as well. But that's what I now make, and my female demographic is 6.7%, according to the YouTube statistics. I see no way to change that without compromising the quality that not so much the quality, but the kind of content I already make.
Take it off.
Yeah, no, that would make it worse. That would make it way worse. Trust me.
Yeah.
But
Naked reviews.
There's no way I could possibly change that number without changing my very identity and the kind of content that I make. And I think when you ask a games developer, be more inclusive, you kind of ask them the same thing to some degree. You're saying, you gotta change for us. Yeah? And you gotta take what you make and you gotta change it. You've basically gotta give up the identity you currently have and take on a new one, which in some circumstances is reasonable. Let's take Fighter Within as a prime fucking example. Fighter Within is borderline racist. It is a terrible Kinect game for the Xbox One by Ubisoft, which features a bunch of racial stereotypes, white dudes, and women in barely any clothing whatsoever. Yeah? That is something you can fucking change, because you do not compromise the integrity of those characters, because they don't fucking have any in the first place.
But I think that, and this is going back to the Dragon Crown conversation from months ago.
Yes,
when everyone was up in arms on the internet. The thing I said at the time that got me a lot of shit from people in email. I was like, look, this game was made to market to people who like big-breasted anime women, and so by complaining about it, that's fine. But they're not going to listen to you because they made this game for that subset. And I feel like the game you just talked about was made for that subset of weirdos who like that particular thing. And so that's, I mean, like Dodger was saying, companies are like, our marketing research shows that these people here love this style of game, so we're going to make this game for that style of people so that they buy it instantly. And that's what they do. And it's not fair and it's not pretty, and a lot of times it pisses everyone off, but that's what marketing is. You market to who you think's going to buy it. Like, there's a commercial on TV right now that I thought was hilarious. I think it's one of the funniest commercials. It might be a Walmart or a Kmart or it's some chain store, but they're selling boxer shorts, and it's dudes in boxers doing jingle bells with their balls. It is legit the silliest thing I've ever seen on TV.
That would not sell that to me at all.
I was like, this is hilarious. Like, why is this on TV? It makes no sense. But there's people up in arms over this ad, super pissed off. I'm like, for me, that's hilarious. There are other people who are like, that's disgusting. They're targeting people. And that's the difference. And so no one's ever going to be happy. And game companies realize that because they don't give a shit. They're still going to make money. When they don't make money, that's when they change.
I guess, sorry.
No, bro, go ahead.
Go
You
ahead,
barely fucking talked. Contribute, damn it. Earn your keep. Get on with it.
Like, if we were going to go back to the YouTube analogy, like, say, there's TB. TB knows exactly the sort of content that he makes. He knows exactly what his opinions are, and it works really well for him. And then there's another person who watches a lot of TB, decides to start his own channel, and basically does exactly what TV does. Like, I think that it's not necessarily that we need to be telling people, hey, you should change. It's that the people who are replicating it because they think that it'll work, but it's not what they want to be doing, we need to be encouraging them to make what they want to make, right? To like, if they want to make something that's very different from that, but they're worried that it's not going to sell very well, I think that's one of the reasons why Kickstarter, as obnoxious as it's become, is such a good thing.
Yes.
Because more of us are able to say, no, we want this game. Like, we like what you're wanting to do. So the more that people start to realize that they don't have to replicate that stuff, if that's what they want to make, then go for it, whatever. But if they want to be making something different, then just giving them the encouragement to make something different so that we do have a wider demographic of people that are being spoken to by multiple companies, right?
The problem, I
is
suppose...
how you look.
Go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say, I think the problem is how they look at demographics. There's a weird thing in marketing where I remember years ago somebody, I can't remember who it was, but a developer who pitched this game. It was going to go ahead. It was a mix between tactics, action, and strategy with an RPG thing. Now there's been loads of games like that, but at this point there hadn't been a game that merged all those things together. It was definitely going to get greenlit until it got to marketing. When they looked at it and they went, well, because this game is unlike anything that's ever been made before, the projected sales are zero because they have to base it off things that already exist.
Yeah.
So because the projected sales was zero, it didn't get greenlit. It didn't happen. And I think that's insane. And I think the problem, it's easy to just go marketing's evil, but I think more often than not, the problem is marketing's lazy. And I think a good example of when it can get it right is, in my mind, the Mass Effect series. And the fact that what they could have done with that is they could have gone, right, we aim this at 18-year-old boys or 18 to 30-year-old men, because that's mostly who like sci-fi. But what they did with the Mass Effect series was they went, no, we're going to market this at people who like sci-fi. And that meant that you could be a man or you could be a woman, and that didn't make any difference. You were just a badass space commander going around kicking ass. It was the same game. And I think the problem is with all this stuff is when you talk about this, the Dragon's Crown crowd get up in arms because they think that we want games to be all like Gone Home. We don't. I want games to be like Mass Effect, where it just doesn't fucking matter. It's just something that they include as a courtesy. And if you're going to make tons of money, like if you're going to make millions and millions of pounds selling your video game, if it's going to cost you another like 100 grand or something to make it accessible to other people who might just be interested, then it just seems really like weak not to do it.
But the problem then is that with Mass Effect, when that comes out, other companies say, and those marketing teams are like, oh shit, can we get a Mass Effect? Can we have our own Mass Effect? Because going back to Dodger's point, I have constantly told people, be yourself on the internet. Don't put on a show. Be you and make your own channel your channel. Like if you're gonna make a YouTube channel, make it yours. The problem is, just like marketing, statistics show that does not work.
No.
When Minecraft came out, Yogscast and CNRs, all these guys blew up. Everyone was like, let's make Minecraft channels. So there's 1 million Minecraft channels. When Slender and PewDiePie blew up, everyone said, oh shit, scary games. And so they did it. And here's the thing. When they did it, you would think, oh, well, why would people want to go watch those when the original still exists? People still do.
They did.
Preaching to the choir, man. You preaches the choir.
They still want a facsimile, and so I will constantly say, like, be yourself. Like, people are amazed when, like, the three of us go to conventions. They're like, you guys are just like how you are in real life. Like, no shit. I'm telling you, be yourself on the internet. Be you, and don't put on a show. The problem is that does not work. And if you want to go on YouTube and make a fortune, pretend to be someone else. Go copy TV, because trust me, that's how you'll make money.
Oh yeah, You're literally preaching to the choir here.
Well,
obviously,
TV will destroy you, but the idea is there, and that's what marketing looks at. They see that and they say, "Oh well, if we can make something else that makes just as much money, people will buy it." And here's the thing: people do buy it, and that's what screws us all over. That's the compounding thing we talked about.
I mean, the videos I make for videogamer.com, we've done well this year. I only started doing it in January. We've got about 80,000 subs. It's not that much, though. We can't really make much money off that at all. But, it's like I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. I want to do the things I want to do. And it's a weird blend of, like, I do, like, the comedy abridged videos with loads of silly voices, but I also do, like, these in-depth analysis of games. Like I did one for Last of Us, one for, like, BioShock Infinite. Occasionally I call things out in the industry and do serious pieces. So it's like sometimes it's a bit like Rev 3 or something, but other times it's like
it's your channel. Mental. You are being you. Yeah.
It is, but you're completely right. It's really difficult because it's like, we've
Yeah.
got okay sub numbers, but if you're not just doing it's frustrating to see that if you just take a very easy route and do Minecraft Let's Plays, I'd probably have twice as many
don't
subscribers.
even. I constantly, Jesse, I love you, but I constantly lament the fact that our Terraria videos have so many fucking views because that series is just like creatively bankrupt in every possible respect. And it's kind of frustrating. It's like, I would love as many people to go and watch like an in-depth analysis of Deus Ex or whatever. And I look at, videogamer.com and I see here's your biggest problem right here in a nutshell that really accentuates everything that we've just said. I go to your popular uploads playlist, abridged, 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 abridged. What the hell happened to Aliens, Colonial Marines? And basically the four most popular videos on your channel, all the same kind of thing. And like, there's another abridged here, there's another abridged there, and then latest videos. You look at some of the stuff that you're obviously just doing because you want to do it, and something for the weekend.
Yeah.
Why come enemy unlikely? 4 days ago, 8,000 views, like compared to the 5 million of that abridged video. And it's really hard to just be a channel on your own doing what you want to do, and this applies to the games industry as well. Like, let's say BioWare want to go and make a puzzle platformer. Good fucking luck. They're an RPG company. Now, their most popular games were RPGs. They've got to make RPGs. Treyarch will probably never make a non-Call of Duty game ever again, because that's what they make now. That's who they are, and that's not only who their publisher is willing to put the dollars behind, but also what they're known for as their brand. So if they try and diverge from that, so it's advice, by the way, that I always give to I speak to a lot of YouTubers, and it's like, how can I kind of build my brand and my channel and whatever, and I give them the same advice every single time, is that, right, you want to build a portfolio of diverse content, but you have to do it slowly, and you have to do it at very shallow angles. So this is you. This is your starting point right here. This was your popular video that made you big. You're going this way, and then you slightly diverge. Like, it's like a really, really modest tree. It becomes a very tall tree, but the branches only go out at a slight angle. You never go, we're going over here, because everyone's like, no, you're not, because that's not what we subbed for you. Yeah, we didn't do that. Yeah. You've got to build it gradually.
We're getting there. I mean, at the moment we're doing a weekly thing where we sing a song, we change the lyrics, and they're quite fun. But it's difficult because everybody wants an abridged video all the time.
Yeah, they want more abridged. Yeah.
And it's like, it's really exhausting and hard work being funny. It's like you can't do it every day. Like, it's something that every now and then you just have an idea and you're like, this is going to be hilarious. But it's like, it's tricky. It's tricky. But as you say, it's very clear that it's always feels like an uphill battle when you see channels that are in the same kind of area and same things just soaring ahead by. And it's a shame because, I've got colleagues within the games industry who are just getting into YouTube. Obviously, all the games press are now going, fuck, we've got to get on YouTube.
Yep. Fuck you guys. I figured this out 3 years ago. Good luck.
They're doing like stuff that they're clearly, you look into their eyes and you're like, oh, you're clearly having your soul destroyed by doing this. They're not having any fun doing it. So yeah, the platform's interesting for that sort of thing of trying to find something so you can actually create content that you really love and care about, whilst also like, it's a bit of a weird one.
And
being told that.
Sorry.
I was just saying, it's the weird thing about YouTube is it's like, in my mind, it feels a bit crazy when you have like 10,000 fans that love everything and watch everything you do, and being told by the system that that's not worth anything. It's like, it seems to me the whole thing is a bit crazy because I know I'm never going to have millions of subs and stuff. It's like we make niche stuff for niche people. If you like comedy stuff, you should check it out because there's some funny stuff, I think. But it's never going to be millions, and it's a weird system that it's like, well, you're fucked. And it's like, well,
I don't know. So, it might be millions, but here the main problem is you're going to have to keep doing abridged videos because that's kind of the popular thing. The weird thing about the abridged concept is that I dipped into it because I felt like doing that. And they did pretty well, but I'm kind of in the fortunate position where I could just do a couple of those videos and there wouldn't be a massive like, we make more or we leave kind of thing, I don't think I got any extra subs from it. I just made it for my existing guys because I thought it would be fun. But the problem that you've got with your channel, which is the same problem that games developers have, and trust me, this is topical, is that when you make something that's successful and a proven success, taking a risk after that is very difficult to do. And when you do it, let's take Bungie as an example. They made Halo games for the longest time, made a shitload of money. Having been to their studio, they're pretty well off. And only now are they taking their big risk. What's their big risk? A first-person shooter, guys, for consoles. Wow, it's some innovation going on right there.
Sci-fi
It's like
elements.
a sci-fi FPS with multiplayer. No, it's like, but Master Chief's not in it, guys, so it's completely different. That's their big risk.
You know that to them that was somewhere that was a risk. Someone was like, this is a huge risk, guys. Meanwhile, there's all these marketing gurus who are like, all right, so we'll drop 5% here, but we could get a 25% increase here. And then it's just behind the scenes math being thrown around. And they're like, all right, let's do this thing.
Yep. And this all comes down to like character design. If we're talking about kind of making games for girls, yeah. At the end of the day, females play FPS, females play the same kind of genres that males do, in differing degrees, obviously. You're probably going to find more female players of The Sims than you will male players, but you're still going to find both genders playing it to a great degree. But what it really comes down to is, and what's been blown up in the last couple of years, is about character design. I'm sorry, but there is a proven line of games with good female characters that have failed completely. You know,
Yep.
and someone just brought up a great example in the chat. Oni. Oni is a fantastic example, which, funnily enough, is also by Bungie. When I went to the Bungie studios, I talked to one of the guys there. It's like, yeah, we really loved Oni. It's one of the games that like we feel really happy about, and it sold about 7 units. And that sold badly. Beyond Good and Evil, Beyond Good and Evil is the. I was about to say Beyond Two Souls. I'm like, wait, what? Beyond Good and Evil was a really good example of a game. Again, fantastic female character lead, and they didn't even go human for the sidekick. It was a fucking pig, and sold terribly. That there are so many examples. When you ask a developer of a modern title, we're talking about these things that cost millions of dollars and like 2 to 3 years of people's lives to make. You are asking them to take a gigantic risk that their publisher probably isn't going to support. And we said that article doesn't offer solutions. I don't really have all that many either. Outside of Matt's point about Mass Effect, you can be inclusive by offering choices within a particular title. You can be male or female in that game. And there's a lot of games where you could do that they just don't bother.
That's it. There's no point.
Sorry.
Go, Dodger.
We're trying to talk at the same time. Sorry, this is just really quick. Like the thing that makes it work for Mass Effect 2 is that it's the same. Like, you can be a male or a female, and it's the same game. Like, you can make the same choices no matter what.
You can also fuck the same people. It's like, oh, you want to be...
That's what I wanted to say.
Fade to black. You fade to black with those people. You don't know.
Well, yeah. Let's be honest. BioWare's sex scenes are, like,
you can just be kissing.
terrible.
You can just be kissing, that's it.
But yeah,
it can be cheaper than that. It can be cheaper than that. Like, Mass Effect is obviously a really expensive way of doing it because you've got to have full voice acting and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I think games that do it really well, it's not about the deep end. People are like, oh, we need to make games more appropriate, so we need loads of strong female characters. As you say, it's just commercial suicide unless you are Lara Croft, which, let's be honest, is sort of halfway character model.
Which, according to Square Enix, is now also commercial suicide.
Yeah, well, that's apparently so. I mean, maybe they did their numbers weirdly. But it's like Saints Row 4 is a great example, and Saints Row 4 and Borderlands 2, in my mind, are two great examples of games which create universes in which gender and sexuality just don't fucking matter.
Don't matter. Agreed.
And it's like it's not that they're trying to be like games are for girls too. It just like they have created things that are a gentle thing. And I think Borderlands 2 should be remembered as one of the most important games of this decade, purely for that, because what it does is it's like drills under the surface. It takes a shooty bang game for like teenage boys, and in the background just sort of goes, you know what, gender and sexuality don't actually matter, rather than trying to force it down anyone's throat. It's just sort of as a matter of fact thing, which I believe to be true. And I don't know, I think games that are trying to make issues about these things often just the people you're trying to speak to are never going to listen to it.
Jesse, go.
No, that's actually, when you brought up Saints Row, I never really thought about it until now, but the Saints Row 3 and 4, you can make your characters, both male or female, as ridiculously ugly or as super duper oversexed as you want, but that has no bearing on the actual game at all. None. So your character, it doesn't matter who you're playing, you still get this same story, and your character still acts like the same asshole no matter what. Like, you can be a man asshole or a woman asshole, but you're still going to be that puckish rogue who gives no shits and goes around the galaxy being an asshole.
Yep.
You're
However-
absolutely right. That's
And
great.
that's how we fix it. It's not like people are saying, no, we need strong female characters. No one's going to
Gonna
buy
be a
this game.
devil's advocate here.
Go for
All
it.
right. Here's my devil's advocate point, which I think is actually less devil's advocate-y the more I think about it. But isn't this the easy way out? Basically, you're saying everyone is the same and devaluing the whole notion that actually genders or sexualities are different. You know, I am all for including everybody, but homogenizing all of them seems like a bit of a cop-out. You know what? In Saints Row, think about Saints Row, for instance, yeah? You are, you could be this 500-pound hermaphrodite or whatever, whatever you want.
You can.
But what if actually that gave you different stats, or you couldn't quite run as fast, or you had a larger hitbox or whatever, but maybe you gained advantages in other areas? And also think about, Mass Effect kind of in terms of its relationships. Yeah, you can have a relationship with pretty much everybody. But are you suggesting that sort of going after a female character as a male, or going after a male character as a female, or a male character as a male is exactly the same, and those relationships would be absolutely identical? Because they're not.
No,
they're all fine. They're all acceptable, but they're not the same.
No, I did like the way that... Sorry, keep doing
No,
this, sorry.
I keep going first. You go.
I did like the way in Mass Effect 3 it didn't do because Dragon Age 2 felt like very much like choose your own sex adventure. Whereas Mass Effect 3, I did like the fact that it was like there were gay characters who weren't going to bend both ways, sort of like, and it would just be this thing of you being like, what do you mean? I want to have sex with you. And they'd be like, well, I'm not interested. And it didn't do the classic video game thing of them going, oh, but as you're a space captain, like,
Like everyone's bisexual for the convenience of the game.
Fact that, they did have some bisexual characters, but not all of them. They did have that thing of being like, well, no. But no, I get what you mean about the whole homogenized thing, and I don't think all games should be like that, but I just think that at the moment it's proven that until the people playing games is a higher proportion of girls overall, to directly market these AAA experiences at women in the hope that the entire market will change and all these women will suddenly come is madness. So I think to begin with, it's just cool that we have some of these hardcore games and shooters that lots of girls love playing are just a bit less needlessly abrasive towards them.
Do we need to follow what TV's doing right now? I have to ask that because TV seems, especially the really good TV, seems awfully inclusive right now, but without compromising the strength of each individual character. I've been watching...
Characters with depth.
Yeah, I watched the last 2 seasons of Scandal, the whole fucking lot through. And and I got these feelings every now and again. It's like, well, I know for a fact the main character is a woman. There's a lot of female characters in there. And I know it's written, the lead writer is a woman. Was this marketed to females, but yet I'm still enjoying it because it's got fucking compelling characters, really great storyline. It's basically a kind of political thriller, but it's really kind of everyone's bad in that series to some degree. I was like, am I watching a show that I think may have been aimed at the female demographic and yet I'm enjoying immensely on its own merits?
You did like Sex and the City, though.
No, I didn't like Sex and the City. That was very clearly like that
You're
was
such a Samantha.
Yeah, it's like, I wonder if that is the case, or if it's just, this show just has good writing and good characters, so pretty much anybody enjoys it. It's the same reason why it's not like 95% male watching Breaking Bad. Everyone watches Breaking Bad because it's fucking great.
Yeah.
Even though there aren't that many female characters in there at all.
Yeah, but Skylar White is fucking awesome. So.
She's a great character with a shitload of depth. And she's also a character that you can simultaneously despise but see the point of. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. I hate you because I'm trying to root for... Oh, and then as the series goes on, it's like, shit, I shouldn't be rooting for this guy at all. Fuck. Oh, gosh, he's right along. That's so good.
That was, I think, the biggest scam of that series, is at the beginning, everyone hated her because she seemed like a bad person. But you realize at the end, like, Walter was a pretty awful person, too. Like, even though he's like, I do everything I do for my family. It's
it
like,
wasn't
no,
just two. Like, he was way worse.
Right?
Yeah.
Within a few episodes, he kills a person. That does make him worse. Oh,
sorry,
everyone
guys.
see the first
Sorry.
4 episodes of Breaking Bad. Come on. Obviously, I won't go any deeper than that, but yeah.
But I think the difference, homogenizing character, I think, is a bigger issue than homogenizing the game. Because, again, going back to, like, Mass Effect or Saints Row or whatever, the characters, you can make whoever you want. And they can be whoever you want. And then you play the game and you go through the story of the game. And I get, like, having different abilities or different things. But I think for most people, just making a fun character and then going through a game is a good enough step in the right direction at the moment to not have to, like, maybe later we can get down, like, because there's gonna be a curve, like there's gonna be that ticking clock or like a bell curve, like we'll get too homogenized, then we'll go back and we'll let's change things up a bit, and then it'll be too different, then we'll go back a little bit. That's just the way things work. And so I feel like at the moment, I think we're in a good place with games like that.
Step in the right direction.
Yeah.
There you go.
Baby steps. Yeah.
It's like
I think it works.
I totally see what you're saying, TB, because like we've talked before about the whole idea of white writers trying to write people of color.
Yes.
And not really understanding how, right? And trying very hard to expand the way that they write to understand how to do it correctly and see from the point of view of another person. And I think that that's like what you were saying. Obviously, yes, if I were to approach a woman and ask for a date and approach a man and ask for a date, the result would probably be very different. And in a game, it would probably be very different as well. But like, it is a step in the right direction to have it all, to just like give everybody the same experience for a while.
Yeah.
Rather than
that's kind of enough, at least
Just
for the
remove
time
some of
being.
Remove some of the barriers. I mean, the thing is, like,
you don't
my
have to
girlfriend-
compromise your vision to do that either.
Yeah.
That's
That's
the big
it.
argument that people got super defensive over. I don't agree with most of what Anita Sarkeesian says, because frankly, I find her videos extremely trite, and also that she focuses on incredibly old stuff that makes very little sense in modern context, and she cherry picks like a motherfucker, and she also doesn't credit her goddamn sources of the people that she takes the footage from. Oops. Dickhead. There you go. There's some fucking unisex insult. But whatever the case, I also don't see the hostility towards the point. It's not compromising the artistic vision. A lot of these guys barely had an artistic vision to begin with. No one who did Fighter Within had an artistic vision. They ticked a bunch of fucking boxes with stereotypes and threw the game out the bloody door. We are not talking about compromising the integrity of a great video game character that has some actual depth. We're not talking about fucking with Commander Shepard or whatever. We're talking about messing with the majority of games where the writing is 30 years behind what television is currently capable of, and we have writers with, and even if they had an iota of the talent of the guys behind people like Breaking Bad, we would be in a much, much better place. It is okay to tackle that, yeah?
Right.
It's like with Mass Effect. My girlfriend's a massive science fiction fan. She's not a fan of shooting stuff. And I would never say to Mass Effect, oh, you should take all the shooting stuff out. Because it's like, she's not going to be interested in playing those games because she doesn't like shooting stuff. She's just not interested in that. But she loves sci-fi. And if she did love sci-fi and shooting stuff, being like, oh, do you want to play this game? Then just giving her the opportunity to play as a female character, that then makes that game amazing. Like, immediately. And it's like...
And it shouldn't!
It shouldn't.
This should have been in there from the very start,
Yeah, it's just like, it removes some of the barriers, I think, the thing is, I might be able to get her into that on that basis of being like, look, you're not too keen on the shooting stuff, but you love science fiction, you can play a female character that's really cool. She might give it a go. It's just like, yeah, you're not fucking stuff over. It's like the idea of having female characters in games that aren't complete shit ruining games. If you think that's ruining games, then your vision of what good games are sounds fucking rubbish.
Right?
I don't know. It just doesn't seem relevant to me. Games are wicked for reasons that have nothing to do with all that stuff. So, don't know. People are mad.
Yeah.
Good talk, guys. Good talk.
Yeah.
Good fucking
Good topic. And now it's 3:30.
Yeah, so it's about time to wrap up. So, let's tell people what we're going to be doing this week. Dojo, what's coming up?
I just put out a new Super Wagon Adventure Turbo. And gonna be playing some more Butt Bag and Dopeness the Witch. And that's all on Press Heart. And on
you have the
my other
worst
channel.
fucking character
What
names.
is going on? What is going on in your channel? What are you doing?
Butt Bag
over
the Monster Hunter and Dopeness the Witch on Path of Exile. Those are my two ladies right now. But on Dexterity Bonus, I do daily vlogs where I drink coffee and talk about life, and my cats show up sometimes. So you can also watch me there. And on all of the social media things, I'm Dex Bonus, DEXBONUS. So.
Unified branding. Jesse.
This week, we're going to finish up a bunch of things that need to get finished. If you want to have your mind needlessly blown again, please go watch the end of Burial at Sea and be like, what the hell just happened? Be confused. And then
ending.
Starbound
Yep.
is happening right now, and
It is. We have 2
a
more
beautiful
episodes of that
mess.
already, and we'll probably do more.
I just uploaded one
Yes.
right now. So go there, kids, and watch episode number 2, where TB and I urinate from our laser shooters.
You know what we were
It is
talking about
classic.
demographics earlier? We know exactly what that series is and who it's for.
Yes, we do. We pee out of our laser shooters. That's what we do. So go watch that. And then I'll probably end up finishing The Cat Lady this week, which is just a phenomenal. It started out weird. Now it's like one of my favorite games. It's really crazy. And just normalness. And then, the usual. Like, look, guys, every week I say this. You know what happens on my channel. I don't have characters named Buttbag or Dopeness, but
I do.
I am.
You have
I'm
Coxbot. Don't even get me started.
Checkmate.
Find me on.
I believe the term is REKT. That's what the kids are saying these days.
Find me on the Twitter at Jesse Cox or Facebook at the Jesse Cox, and that's it. Mwah. Oh, Instagram, Notorious COX. Look it up.
Who the fuck wants to follow your Instagram?
It's great. I took a picture of a horse riding a bike on a sign.
Yeah, that's Belgium. It's good.
That's a hell of a sentence. I like that. I took a picture of my bike riding a horse on a sign.
Mr. Matt Lee's Video
Even I
Gamer
realize how
TV.
stupid
What
that
can we
was.
expect from you over the next couple of weeks? What's coming up?
Today we put up this week's Reviewsicle, which is a weekly video where we review something in the form of a song, and this week it was reviewing Microsoft's Kinect, the tune of Take My Breath Away, made famous by Top Gun, to the chorus of Take Kinect Away. We don't make any money on those because we don't own any of the music, but you should watch them because they're fun. Obviously, tomorrow we have our weekly podcast. I am the host of the Video Gamer UK podcast, which you can find on iTunes, and it's also on our YouTube page. It's a shorter podcast than this, and it's mostly a bit more serious, but you might like that. And just generally, we've got weekly daft stuff. I think we've got a little head-to-head thing where we tried to do mountain biking down Mount Chiliad in GTA with moon gravity and crashing into things, which is quite fun. But generally, if you do like the sound of my voice, then you might like our stuff on Video Gamer TV YouTube channel. It's a bit different and a bit weird, but we've got a lovely community of nutters. And also, if you like board game stuff, I would check out Shut Up and Sit Down.
Yes.
Because I'm only a very small part in that website, but I honestly think it's one of the best things I've ever been involved in. And if you do like filth, then check out Regular Features podcast as well, because it's quite a lot of fun. It's for British blokes talking about all sorts. It is not for children, but you might like it. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I do mostly tweet about cakes and ice cream. And I am jam_sponge. That's about it.
Not unified branding. 2 out of 10. No.
Do remember the underscore. Underscore, because otherwise
Sponge does not have a U in it on your name.
No,
so
no.
It's SPONGE to follow him there. Cool. What am I doing? Well, as I say, we've got 2 more episodes of Starbound. We're going to try and do a bit more, mostly to capitalize on the fact that the beta is coming out on the 4th, I believe. But I do have an event I'm doing this weekend. No, I'm not going anywhere for it. I organized it myself. It's called Shoutcraft America Winter. It is an 8-man StarCraft tournament. It is happening on Saturday and Sunday, December the 7th, December the 8th, 8 of the top American, Canadian, South American, and kind of that area players on the planet will be competing for $5,000. Should be a pretty good time. I'm also going to be doing... there'll be a couple of... I'm planning a couple more things for StarCraft this month because it's mostly kind of the off-season now, so there's times to fit that in. I will give you a quick teaser of something that we're going to be doing, and that is an in-house reverse race tournament. That being everyone within the Axiom Gaming House will be playing the race that the other guy usually plays, and if they can't do that because they're the same race, they'll pick a different one. So if you want to see their players kind of playing a different race to what they usually play and playing in a tournament against each other, that includes the Acer players, by the way, so MMA and Innovation, then that might be something you might want to watch. That's a quick teaser. Haven't got a date for that yet. I'll let you know. It should be before Christmas, we hope. Aside from that, on the channel... well, there's games coming out right now, so Gravity Badgers will be covered as a priority. There will be Gravity Badgers. Draw a stickman epic and a wide variety of different things. My wife is staring through the door in a leering fashion saying, screw you, get off the podcast. But there's going to be lots of videos coming up and on the StarCraft channel as well. And I'll be streaming a little bit more as well. I've got the Q&A to do, and I'll probably be doing a little bit more Hearthstone and things like that on this particular channel, twitch.tv/TotalBiscuit. So that is wrapping up an extended edition of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. Please do follow us on YouTube. Below, for the last 3.5 hours, is where you see where to go. That's our channels right there. So go click on that. Thanks for watching. You have been a fantastic audience as always, and go buy the new Humble Bundle because it's fantastically good. Yes, it's very, very cheap and full of great games. So goodbye. Good night. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.